I'm the storyteller. For a place we call the last night? You might be here to relax, or to fall asleep. Just remember, not everyone wakes up after their last night. If this voice finds its way into your darkness, please subscribe. And if you're still awake by the end, leave a comment. I read them all. Now, turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. And whatever you do, don't turn around. Let's begin. Hey guys, tonight we drift into the fog, into the strange and silent waters where the Mary Celeste waits. You can almost hear the creak of her timbers, the faint hiss of the sea against her hull, and the low, steady sigh of the ocean wind, like a breath that's been held too long. She emerges from the mist as if conjured, a shape both solid and insubstantial, floating on the endless gray, her sails slack, her deck empty. You feel the chill of it before you even step aboard, that subtle, unshakable sense that something is missing. Or maybe not missing, just absent. It's the kind of place where you feel the need to whisper, not because anyone might hear, but because something in the air seems to press gently against your throat. A ship adrift in perfect weather, no sign of struggle, no sound of voices, only the faint lap of water against the hull, the occasional creak of wood as the timbers settle, and the sigh of ropes in the breeze. You glance up, half expecting to see someone watching you from the deck, perhaps a face peering down, eyes dark and waiting, but there's no one. Only the tangled rigging above, swaying gently, as if the ship is breathing, waiting. The sails flutter slightly, but not enough to fill. They hang like tired ghosts, their edges tattered, their fabric damp from the fog that clings to every surface. The Mary Celeste isn't a wreck, but she feels like one. Her paint is faded, her wood graying at the edges. You step closer, and the details sharpen, the carved letters of her name across the stern. Half hidden by salt and time, the lines of her rails, weathered but intact. It's as though she was paused mid-sentence, caught in a moment no one was meant to see. The ship's ladder hangs down, waiting. You place your foot on the first rung, feeling the damp wood under your hand. The rope creaks faintly as you climb, each step drawing you closer to the mystery. The ocean below seems to watch, the waves quiet, the sky a dull, shifting gray. It's as if the sea itself is holding its breath, waiting to see what you'll find. Your hand closes on the rail. It's slick with mist, cold and familiar, like the skin of something long dead. You swing yourself over the edge, boots landing softly on the deck. The boards give slightly under your weight, a soft groan that echoes into the hollow air. You stand still, listening. Nothing. No birds, no footsteps, no voices carried on the wind. Just the slow, steady hush of water against wood, and the faint clatter of loose rigging shifting above. You breathe slowly, each inhale tasting of salt and decay. The air here is heavy, close, like walking into a room where someone has just left, their scent still hanging. You take a few careful steps. The deck beneath your boots creaks faintly, the sound swallowed by the fog. There are no signs of struggle, no broken rails, no splintered wood, no blood. The ship isn't wrecked, just deserted. A stillness so complete it feels like the ship itself is holding on to a secret. You reach the wheel. It stands fixed in place, unmoved, its spokes damped with fog. A length of rope dangles from the handle, frayed at the end, as if someone had been here. And then, suddenly, they weren't. Beyond the wheel, the deck stretches out, empty. A few barrels lashed to the side, a coil of rope left in a loose pile. No footprints, but a faint smear near the rail, as if something had been dragged. Or maybe someone. The ocean whispers beneath you, patient. The fog curls like a living thing around the masts, brushing your face as you move. You glance up, half expecting to see a figure in the crow's nest, but it's empty, swaying slightly, as if the ship were nodding to itself. And then you notice it, a faint, rhythmic tapping. Like a soft knock, distant, from somewhere below. You freeze. Listen. It comes again. Barely there. a sound too deliberate to be the ship settling. You step carefully, boots silent on the damp wood. Your breath fogs in the air. The sound comes from below. Your hand rests lightly on the hatch. The wood is cold, slick, almost pulsing. You close your eyes for a moment, listening. The tapping stops. You exhale slowly. Your breath sounds loud in the quiet. You open the hatch. A waft of cold, musty air rises, damp and heavy. You see the faint outline of stairs leading down, swallowed quickly by shadow. You glance once over your shoulder, empty deck, empty sky, and descend into the darkness. The air thickens as you move downward, each step muffled. The wood groans softly beneath you, as if the ship itself is remembering your weight. The walls close in, the smell of salt and something older, leather, maybe, or oil, or something sweeter and more rotten. You pause at the bottom, letting your eyes adjust. The hold stretches before you, dim shapes in the gloom, barrels, crates, shadows. The tapping is gone. But in its place, a new sound, a low, soft sigh. You stand very still. And in the quiet, you think you hear it, your own name. The sigh fades slowly, like fog slipping through your fingers, leaving only silence behind. You stand in the stillness, heart beating just a little too fast, ears straining for the sound again. But there's nothing. Just the groan of the ship settling around you and the faint, persistent scent of damp wood and something off. Your fingers trail across a crate, the surface rough and splintered beneath your touch. It's marked, faint letters etched by hand, spirits. The ink has bled into the grain, blurred by moisture. A barrel nearby creaks softly, as if adjusting itself in the hush. You pause. The faintest trace of a leak glistens in the dim light, a dark, viscous stain that spreads like an ink blot across the deck. You lean closer. The liquid smells sharp, almost medicinal. Alcohol? Rum? Or something stranger? You reach out, hesitant, fingertips brushing the edge of the stain. It clings, sticky and cold, before disappearing into the wood as though the ship itself has absorbed it. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. A chill creeps up your spine. You step back, scanning the hold. The shadows crowd in, but your eyes begin to adjust. Shapes resolve into objects, barrels lashed together, crates stacked high, rope coiled like sleeping serpents. And then you see it. A small figure, tucked between the barrels. A doll, limp and folded awkwardly, its face half buried in the shadows. You move closer. The doll's face is smooth, porcelain pale, with dark glass eyes that catch the light like mirrors. One arm is torn, stuffing peeking through, as if it had been gripped too tightly. You reach out, fingers hovering above it. The air feels colder here, the wood beneath your feet slightly damp, as if something had been spilled, or as if the cold itself had seeped into the ship. You lift the doll. Its dress is simple, blue once, now faded to gray. A faint scent of lavender clings to it, mixed with the salt and rot of the ship. The doll is heavier than it should be, the fabric dense, as though it remembers. You turn it over in your hands. A small tag is stitched into the back of its dress, S. Briggs. Your breath catches. Captain Benjamin Briggs's daughter, Sophia. You glance around, as if expecting to see a child darting between the barrels, but the shadows hold only silence. The air feels tight, pressing against your chest. You place the doll gently back where you found it, its glass eyes staring up at you, unblinking. A faint sound reaches your ears, a soft, rhythmic creak. You follow it, stepping carefully between the barrels. The sound grows louder, wood against wood, rope straining softly. You find the source, a length of rope, frayed and damp, swinging gently from a beam above. It moves as if tugged by an invisible hand. No wind down here. No draft. Just the slow, steady swing. You glance up. A sailor's hat dangles from a nail on the beam. It flutters slightly, though the air remains still. You feel it again, that sense of being watched, not by eyes exactly, but by the ship itself. As if the Mary Celeste is waiting, holding its breath for you to understand something you haven't yet grasped. You reach for the hat. The moment your fingers brush the brim, a sharp crack echoes through the hold. You flinch, the sound reverberating off the walls. But nothing moves. The rope is still. The barrels are still.
except the hat. It's gone. You blink, looking around wildly, but there's no sign of it. You close your eyes for a moment, steadying your breath. And then, a soft tap. A single, deliberate sound, directly behind you. You turn. The doll lies on its side now, head tilted, as if listening. You pick it up again, this time holding it tightly. The air around you seems to hum, faintly, like the vibration of a distant storm. You whisper into the dark, voice low and barely audible, "Is anyone here?" Silence. And then, the faintest, almost imperceptible sound, like a sigh drawn from the deepest part of the ship. /prosody. /speak.
You step backward, your boots scuffing against the floorboards, eyes darting between the barrels, the ropes, the shadows. The ship seems to shift beneath you, not a sudden lurch, but a slow, subtle adjustment, like it's breathing again. You swallow. You know you should go back up. But the air feels heavier now, as if the ship itself has sunk slightly under your weight. You glance down at the doll in your hand. Her eyes glint faintly, reflecting a light you can't quite see. You grip her tighter. And listen. The creak of the ship. The whisper of the sea. And somewhere, faintly, softly, the sound of footsteps. Moving away. The footsteps fade into the quiet, swallowed by the darkness, leaving you standing there, doll in hand, breath catching slightly in your throat. You listen, but there's only the groan of the timbers, the distant slap of the sea against the hull, and the faint, rhythmic creak of rope, soft as a cradle song, but slower, heavier. You exhale slowly, the breath shaking just a little, and glance down at the doll again. Her face remains serene, unbothered by the chill air or the sense of something slipping away into the dark. You tuck her gently into the crook of your arm, strange how she feels more like a tether now than a burden, and take a step forward. The hold stretches out before you, dim shapes rising in the gloom, barrels, crates, the tangled lines of rope coiled like slumbering snakes. Your boots scuff against the boards, the sound too loud, like a cough in a cathedral. You move cautiously, each step deliberate, each breath careful. The smell down here shifts as you move, salt, old wood, damp canvas, and something sweeter, almost cloying. Not quite raw, not quite perfume. Something in between. You pause beside a barrel, noticing a faint trail, something dark, a smear across the floor, subtle but unmistakable. You kneel, tracing it with your fingers, and it feels sticky. Not quite wet, not quite dry, like ink that never sets. The trail leads further into the hold, disappearing between two stacked crates. You follow it, ducking beneath a low beam, your shoulder brushing the damp wood. The air grows colder here, the light thinner, as if the ship itself is holding its breath. You pause. Listen. And there, soft, faint, a sound. Not footsteps this time. A soft tapping. Rhythmic. Deliberate. Like fingers against a wooden lid. You follow it, breath tight in your chest, the doll pressed closer. The sound draws you to a crate, slightly ajar, a thin sliver of darkness spilling from the gap. You reach out, hesitate, then place your hand on the lid. The tapping stops. You freeze. And then, so quietly you almost miss it, a single, low sigh. It's not yours. You lift the lid. Inside, bundled in coarse fabric, something glimmers faintly, metallic, dark, irregular. You reach in. Fingers brushing cool, smooth surfaces, edges that feel too sharp, too precise. You lift the object slowly into the dim light. A sextant. Old, tarnished, its brass dulled with time. You turn it in your hands. The gears stiff, a faint trace of salt crusted in the joints. A sailor's tool, meant to chart the stars, to navigate the endless sea. But as you hold it, the room feels wrong. The air thickens, a pressure building behind your eyes, as if the very weight of the ocean is pressing down through the deck. The doll's glass eyes catch the faintest glimmer from the brass, and for a moment, just a flicker, you swear she moves. Just a slight tilt of the head, a shift of weight against your arm. You blink, heart racing, but when you look again, she's still. You set the sextant back, gently, as though it might shatter under its own memory. A creak overhead draws your gaze upward. The beams groan faintly, a subtle, rhythmic sway, as if the ship is adjusting itself around you. And then, a soft thump. A single footfall. Directly above you. Your breath freezes. You strain to listen. Nothing. And then, slow as the tide, the creak of a floorboard, the faint shift of weight, someone, or something, moving. You glance around, eyes catching on the edges of the hold, the dark corners where the light doesn't quite reach. You know you're alone. Aren't you? The air feels colder now. The damp seeps deeper into your skin. You hear it again. The soft, slow sound of footsteps. 1, 2, pause. 3. The doll's head shifts slightly against your arm. Or maybe it's just the motion of the ship. Maybe. You move toward the ladder. Boots soft against the boards, the sound of the sea rising faintly in your ears like a whisper you can't quite catch. You reach the ladder, place your hand on the first rung, and freeze. The wood is wet. Not from the fog, but from something thicker, darker. A stain, just beneath your hand. You lift your palm slowly. Your skin is streaked with a dark smear, glistening faintly in the dim light. You don't need to ask what it is. You already know. The doll's glass eyes stare up at you. You grip the ladder, your breath catching. And above you, soft, unmistakable, the sound of someone exhaling. Right next to you. Your breath stills, caught halfway between inhale and exhale. The sound, that breath beside you, fades as quickly as it came, dissolving into the stillness. You tighten your grip on the ladder, fingers sticky from the smear left behind. It clings, dark and faintly metallic, like the scent of old pennies soaked in brine. The doll shifts slightly against your arm, her glass eyes tilted up toward the hatch above. You glance down at her, a shiver crawling down your spine. The ship creaks, a long, low groan, as if settling deeper into the water, or maybe just into the weight of its own story. You gather yourself and ascend, boots pressing softly into the damp rungs. The wood shudders faintly beneath you, as though it remembers footsteps long gone. The air sharpens as you climb, the damp fog thickening around your face, clinging to your skin like cold silk. When you step onto the deck, the light is thinner, more an echo than illumination. The fog curls around the masts, and the sails hang limp, edges tattered, the fabric heavy with salt and time. You pause at the rail, gaze sweeping across the horizon. Nothing but endless gray, the sea stretching out, flat and unbroken. The ship rocks gently beneath you, the waves soft, almost respectful in their motion. Your eyes drift to the wheel. It stands fixed, the ropes hanging slack. A faint pattern of wear marks the wood where hands once held fast, turning it towards some long-forgotten destination. You brush your fingers over the spokes, feeling the grooves worn into the grain, smooth where countless palms have passed. And then you see it. A small, half-folded scrap of paper, wedged between the spokes. You pull it free, careful not to tear the fragile edge. The paper is damp, the ink blurred but still legible. A log entry, brief, hurried, the handwriting tight and slanted. It reads, fog thickening. No stars. The child keeps humming. She won't stop. Can't. The line trails off, the final stroke jagged, as if the pen was torn from the writer's hand. Your fingers tighten around the paper. You glance down at the doll. Her head is tilted slightly toward the wheel. You swallow, the fog pressing closer, muffling the distant sigh of the waves. A shape moves in the corner of your vision. You turn sharply, heart jolting. But there's nothing. Only the rigging shifting gently, the sails brushing against the masts with a whisper. You exhale, a low breath that shivers in your throat. And then, a sound. Soft. Subtle. The faintest scrape of a chair leg across wood. It comes from the captain's quarters. You hesitate. The door is ajar, swinging slightly in the breeze, or perhaps something else. A thin sliver of shadow waits beyond, the darkness inside deeper than the fog outside. The air feels heavier near the door. The damp presses against your skin, sticky and cold. You step forward, boots silent on the deck, breath slow and shallow. The doll is still in your arm, her dress damp, the lavender scent now almost gone. You pause at the threshold, peering into the gloom. The cabin is small, cluttered, a desk, a trunk, a narrow bed. The sheets are rumpled, as if someone rose in a hurry, the blankets folded back on themselves. A small shoe lies near the bed. Child-sized. You kneel, fingers hovering above the shoe. It's soft leather, worn at the toes, a faint scuff across the side. The doll's eyes gleam faintly in the dim light. You lift the shoe, turning it in your hand. A faint engraving is stitched into the inside of the sole, S.B. Sophia Briggs. The air thickens, pressing in close. And then you hear it, a soft, high humming. Faint, delicate, like a lullaby. It drifts through the cabin, settling into your bones like fog. The sound draws you toward the desk. Papers lie scattered, charts, maps, a compass resting on its side. A small oil lamp sits cold and unlit, the glass fogged. Your hand moves to a folded letter, the ink faded and smeared by moisture. You unfold it carefully. The words tremble beneath your gaze. My dearest, the sea is quiet, but the silence grows heavier by the hour. I fear we are adrift not just on the water, but into something we cannot name. I will write again when the ink trails off, the page torn at the bottom. A creak sounds behind you. You turn sharply, breath catching. The door swings shut with a quiet click. The cabin dims, the fog seeping through the cracks in the walls, curling low around your ankles. The humming stops. Silence stretches, long and slow. You listen. And in that quiet, you swear you hear a whisper, so faint it could almost be your own breath. You shouldn't have come. The doll in your arms feels heavier. You glance at the window, the glass fogged, and see a faint outline, just the impression of a hand, small, pressed against the pane from the inside. You reach for the latch. It's cold beneath your fingers, slick with condensation. You hesitate, breath held tight in your throat. The ship groans beneath you, the timbers shifting as if bearing the weight of something unseen. And in the stillness, the sound returns, soft, rhythmic, like footsteps pacing the deck above. You close your eyes, your pulse a quiet thunder. The doll's head tilts slightly in your grip. You exhale slowly, the fog thickening around you. The ship waits. And so do you. The quiet presses in, thick as the fog, as if the air itself is listening, waiting for you to speak, to move, to make some sound it can echo. Your breath catches in your throat, shallow and careful. The doll in your arms is still, but the weight of her seems heavier now, as though the silence has seeped into her stitching. The humming is gone, swallowed by the creak of the ship, the groan of wood that stretches and settles, the faint, steady breath of the ocean pressing gently against the hull. You reach out slowly, fingertips brushing across the desk, the paper soft beneath your skin, damp with salt and time. Your hand hovers over the small compass, its needle still. No north. No motion. Just stillness, as if even the Earth's pull has given up here. You glance down. The floorboards beneath the desk are scuffed, faint marks tracing in odd arcs, like someone had been pacing back and forth, for hours. Or days. The fog curls thicker near the floor, wrapping around your boots in soft tendrils. You step back carefully, the boards creaking under your way. The doll shifts. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but the fabric under your fingers tightens slightly, as though she's tensing, listening. Your breath hitches. And then, the sound, soft, faint, unmistakable, a single knock. It comes from below, from the hold you just left. You freeze. Another knock. slow, deliberate, like a question asked in the dark. You turn, eyes scanning the cabin. The shadows lean closer. The fog thickens around the edges, swallowing the light. You step toward the door, each footstep quiet, deliberate, like you're walking across the thin ice of someone else's dream. Your hand closes around the latch, metal cold, slick beneath your fingers. You open the door. The deck beyond stretches out, empty. The fog clings to the masts, thick and low, muting the shapes of the ship. A faint shape stands at the rail. You blink, your heart hammering. But when you look again, there's nothing. Just the fog. The footsteps, yours, sound too loud in the hush. You step forward, the doll's dress brushing against your coat. The bell above the helm shifts gently, a soft clink of metal. The rope sways, though there's no breeze. And then, on the wind, or what passes for wind out here, you hear it. A soft, almost imperceptible sigh. Not close. Not distant. Just there. Waiting. Your gaze drifts downward, to the rail. Scratches. Faint, irregular, like claw marks or the desperate scrabble of hands. You run your fingers over them, the wood rough beneath your skin, edges softened by time. The ship creaks, a low, steady moan that feels more like breath than sound. And then the knock again. 2, this time. From the hold below. You tighten your grip on the doll. Your foot moves, slow, careful. One step. Another. The hatch waits, slightly ajar, the darkness below deeper than before. You listen. Silence. Then, a whisper, so faint it brushes the edge of hearing, still here. Your pulse thuds in your ears. You descend. The hold smells of salt, of damp rope, of wood soaked with secrets. The barrels loom in the half-light, shadows swallowing their edges. The knock comes again. This time, from the far end, near the bulkhead. You follow. Your boots scuff against the deck, soft, slow. The doll's head tilts faintly in the crook of your arm, her eyes glinting as if catching the faintest glimmer of something unseen. The knock repeats, faster now. 3. Then 4. And then, a faint, rhythmic tapping, like the gentle beat of a finger against a lid. You stop before a crate. The wood is old, stained, the nails rusted. Your fingers rest lightly on the surface. You feel it. The tapping. Faint, but steady. Like a heartbeat that doesn't belong to you. The doll's weight shifts slightly. You swallow. And lift the lid. The air rushes out, cool and damp, carrying the faintest scent of something sweet, something old. Lavender and salt, rot and rose water. Inside, a bundle of fabric. Soft. Pale. Child-sized. Your hands tremble as you reach in, pulling back the cloth. A shoe. A ribbon. A small, worn book. And beneath them, nothing. Just the dark. You pause, the hold silent around you, the fog seeping in through unseen cracks, the ship's timbers groaning faintly as if remembering the weight of what was once here. You close the lid. The knocking stops. But in the silence, something lingers, an echo, a breath, a memory pressed deep into the boards. And you know, without needing to ask, that the Mary Celeste remembers. Even if no one else does. The hold breathes around you. That's the only way you can describe it, like lungs slowly filling and emptying, a living pulse in the timbers, in the salt-stained air, in the stillness that wraps the ship in its quiet, heavy shroud. You stand very still, listening, the doll a soft weight in the crook of your arm, her head tilted ever so slightly toward the lid you just closed. The tapping has stopped, but the silence it leaves behind feels heavier, as if it's not absence but a space held open for something yet to come. Your breath is slow, measured, the sound of it almost loud against the hush. You can hear your heartbeat, thudding, steady, a quiet reminder that you are still here, still anchored in this strange, creaking world. You glance down at your hands. The faint smear of dark, sticky liquid is drying now, leaving your skin rough, stained at the edges. You wipe your palms against your coat, but the mark lingers, like an old bruise that won't quite fade. The ship shifts beneath you, the floor tilting almost imperceptibly, as if it's realigning itself under your feet. A soft creak echoes from the far side of the hold, the sound slipping through the shadows like a whisper. You turn, slowly, eyes straining into the dim light. The barrels stand in their rows, the crates stacked high. Nothing moves. And yet, the air feels different now. Denser, the fog pressing closer, the edges of your vision blurring slightly, as if the ship itself is drawing you deeper into its story. You move forward, one careful step at a time, boots brushing against the rough wood, the doll's dress drilling softly against your sleeve. The smell down here has changed. There's the salt, the old wood, but also something sharper now. A faint, acidic tang, like metal and ozone, and the sharp snap of a storm waiting just beyond the horizon. Your hand brushes the edge of a barrel, and you pause. The wood is warm. Not just warm from the damp, it feels as though it has absorbed heat, as if it has been touched by hands just moments ago. You lean closer, pressing your palm flat against the surface. The warmth seeps into your skin. Unfamiliar, almost unsettling, as if the barrel itself remembers something it wants to share. And then, so faint you almost miss it, you hear it again. The knock. Not from the barrel this time. From the deck above. Your breath catches. You step back, listening, the hold falling into a hush so deep it feels like the air has been drawn out of the space entirely. The knock repeats, slow, measured, deliberate. You turn toward the ladder, your pulse quickening. And then, a soft clatter, like metal on wood, just beyond the far stack of crates. You hesitate, every instinct telling you to leave, to climb back up into the gray light and the fog. But something pulls you forward, a quiet, unshakable tug, like the current beneath the surface of the sea, urging you toward the place where the sound was born. You move slowly, boots careful, the doll in your arms feeling heavier by the moment. You round the crates, and there, on the floorboards, half tucked beneath a coil of rope, you see it. A small, tarnished key. Its surface is worn smooth, the metal darkened by time and salt. A thin length of string is knotted through the handle, frayed and damp. You kneel, reaching out, fingertips brushing the metal. The key is cold, colder than the air around it, as if it has been waiting in shadow for much longer than this ship has drifted alone. You pick it up, the weight of it light in your palm but heavy in meaning. What does it unlock? You glance around, the fog thickening as if in response. The ship groans softly, the boards creaking in a slow, measured rhythm. You feel the doll shift again. Subtle, just the faintest adjustment of weight, and for a moment, you swear the key warms slightly in your hand. The knock comes again. Once. Twice. Then stops. You rise, the key clenched tightly, your breath measured and slow. The hold feels smaller now, the air tighter, the fog crowding closer. You turn toward the ladder, the way back feeling farther than it should. Your boots tap softly on the boards as you move, the sound swallowed quickly by the hush. And just as you reach the base of the ladder, ready to climb, you hear it. A whisper. Soft, low, curling around your name. It lingers in the air, fragile as smoke. You glance down at the key in your hand. The doll's eyes gleam faintly, reflecting light that isn't there. You close your fingers around the key, the metal cold and firm, and step onto the ladder. The ship sighs beneath you, a long, low groan that hums through the timbers, through your bones. You climb, each step careful, deliberate, the fog swirling around your boots like something alive. And as you reach the deck once more, you pause, just for a moment, listening. The ocean whispers against the hull. The sails flutter, damp and heavy. And far below, in the quiet dark, the sound of the knock returns. The knock fades once more, swallowed by the hush of the ship, and you stand frozen at the top of the ladder, the key cold and sharp in your palm. The fog curls tighter around the masts, the sails hanging limp, edges frayed like torn cloth left too long in the rain. The air is thick, heavy, as if the ship is holding its breath, waiting. You step carefully onto the deck, boots muffled against the damp boards. The doll in your arm feels heavier now, the weight of her pressing into your ribs like a secret you're not meant to hold. You glance down, and for a moment, just the briefest flicker, you think her glass eyes shift, just a touch, just enough to catch a glint of light. But when you look again, she's still, head tilted ever so slightly, her small hands folded in her lap. You move slowly, the ship groaning beneath you with each step, as though it feels the pressure of your presence, or perhaps your questions. The wheel stands alone, the spokes slick with fog, and the bell above sways gently, not a chime, just the soft scrape of metal on rope, the faintest warning that never quite speaks. Your hand closes around the key, fingers tight, the edges digging into your skin. What door does it belong to? What lock? The ship offers no answers, only silence. You walk the length of the deck, eyes scanning the details, a coil of rope frayed at the ends, a bucket half full of rainwater, a single boot resting near the railing as if its owner had simply stepped out of it and vanished. The boot is damp, the leather cracked and worn. You crouch, fingers brushing its edge, and as you touch it, a faint, hollow creak echoes from the planks beneath your feet. You still listen. Another creak, slower, more deliberate. The sound of weight shifting, of footsteps on wood. But you are alone. A chill skims down your spine, your breath catching in your throat. The fog thickens at the edges of your vision, the air pressing in, soft but insistent. You rise, moving toward the captain's quarters once more. The door stands slightly ajar, the dark within beckoning. You push it open, the hinges whispering their protest. The cabin smells of damp wool, salt, and something fainter, lavender, perhaps, but fading, like a memory stretched thin by time. You step inside. The room is unchanged, the desk, the maps, the rumpled bed. The shoe still lies near the foot of the bed, the small, scuffed leather a quiet reminder of the child who once wore it. The faintest imprint remains in the sheets, as if someone had rested there for just a moment and then was gone. Your gaze shifts to the desk. The key warms slightly in your hand, the metal pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. You follow its pull, laying the doll gently on the desk, her glass eyes reflecting the dim light. The key seems to hum in your palm as you scan the desk surface, maps spread, ink smudged, a compass resting off kilter. And there, tucked into the corner, a small, brass-locked box. The lock is simple, old-fashioned, its surface dulled by time. You fit the key into the lock. It turns with a soft, reluctant click. The lid creaks as you lift it, the hinges stiff. Inside, a bundle of letters, folded neatly, their paper yellowed and edges frayed. You pick one up, unfolding it carefully. The handwriting is tight, precise, the ink faded but still legible. It reads, "The fog is thicker today. The crew grows restless. Strange sounds in the night, tapping, soft footsteps. The child hums, always the same tune. I dream of water rising, filling the ship. But when I wake, all is dry. I cannot shake the sense that we are being watched, not from the horizon, but from within. I will write again when the fog lifts, but it has not lifted for days." You fold the letter, a shiver crawling across your skin. The fog presses closer, the air growing colder, heavier. And then you hear it, a soft, rhythmic sound. Not the creak of wood. Not the sigh of sails. Something else. Humming. Low, soft, almost gentle, but unmistakable. The same tune from the letter. You glance at the doll. Her head tilts slightly, as if listening. The ship groans beneath you, the sound long and low, like an exhale drawn from the depths of the sea. The letters tremble slightly in your hands, a faint quiver, as though stirred by a breath that is not yours. You glance back toward the door. A shadow shifts, just for a heartbeat, before melting back into the fog. Your pulse races, your breath shallow and tight. The key feels cold again, the hum fading. You gather the letters, tucking them into your coat, the pages fragile, almost weightless. You pick up the doll. She is heavier than before. You step back onto the deck, the fog swallowing the edges of the ship, the ocean stretching out, silent, endless. And beneath your feet, faint but certain, you feel it, the knock. Once. Twice. Steady, patient. Waiting. The knock echoes up through the boards, once, twice, a slow, deliberate rhythm that settles into your bones like the memory of a sound you're sure you've heard before. You stand motionless on the deck, the doll tucked close against your chest, the letters a fragile weight in your coat. The key, cold and quiet now, rests heavy in your pocket. The fog drapes itself across the ship like a shroud, soft and dense, muffling the edges of everything it touches. The rigging creaks softly above you, a whisper in the stillness, and somewhere, a rope shifts, a soft slap against wood, a reminder that the Mary Celeste is not entirely still. You move toward the rail, your boots careful on the damp boards, breath slow and measured. The ocean spreads out before you, flat and endless, the horizon swallowed by the fog. No wind. No waves. Just the quiet lap of water against the hull, soft and steady, like a lullaby whispered by the sea itself. Your gaze drifts to the starboard side, and that's when you see it. A small bottle, bobbing gently in the water, bumping softly against the hull. You lean over, extending your arm, fingertips brushing the cold glass. The bottle turns lazily in the water, catching faint glimmers of light that seem too faint, too far, to be from any sun. You hook it with the tip of your boot, drawing it closer. The glass is slick with salt, the cork worn and slightly frayed. Inside, something shifts. Paper, you think, folded small and tight. You pull it from the water, holding it up to the fog. The glass is cold, the moisture beating across your skin. The paper inside is old, browned by time, edges curled. You hesitate, then pull the cork. The scent that drifts out is faint but unmistakable, lavender, salt, and something sharper, like iron or old ink. You shake the bottle gently, the paper slipping free into your hand, delicate as moth wings. You unfold it slowly, careful not to tear the fragile fibers. The words are cramped, hurried, the ink smudged and faded in places. We drift in fog. The child hums. The crew whispers in their sleep. I fear the sea has swallowed our voices. The compass spins. The maps mean nothing. We are adrift not in water, but in time. The signature is missing, torn away or never written. You glance down at the doll. Her head tilts slightly toward the bottle, as if listening. The ship creaks softly, the sound like an old man turning in his sleep. You tuck the paper into your coat, the bottle cool in your hand, and look back over the rail. The water laps gently against the hull, and for a moment, just a breath, you see something beneath the surface. A shadow. A shape. A figure drifting past, arms outstretched, hair flowing like seaweed, face turned upward, eyes closed. But when you blink, it's gone. The fog swallows the water, the surface smooth, unbroken. Your breath hitches, a faint tremor in your chest. You step back from the rail. The deck feels different beneath your feet now, softer, almost hollow. As if the ship is less solid than it was before, as if you're standing on the memory of a deck rather than the deck itself. You turn toward the hatch leading below, the knock repeating, soft, patient, steady. 1, 2, 3. The doll in your arms feels heavier again. Her eyes glint faintly, catching a light you can't see. You descend, each step deliberate, each creak beneath your boots a quiet question. The hold waits. The barrels. The crates. The ropes. And near the far wall, something new. A wet footprint. Small. Bare. The toes pointed away from you, as if whoever left it had been walking deeper into the ship. Another appears. Then another. Leading toward the cargo hold, where the dark feels deeper, thicker, almost liquid. You follow, your breath shallow, the dull pressed close. And there, near the far bulkhead, you see it. A smear. A shape, half familiar. The outline of a handprint, pressed into the wood. Small. Delicate. Just like the dolls. You pause, pulse quickening, the fog thickening, the ship groaning softly beneath you. And then, behind you, so close you can feel the breath on the back of your neck, a voice. Soft. Gentle. Almost kind. Do you hear it, too? The air stills. The fog curls. And you close your eyes. The knock continues. Steady. Waiting. The voice fades like a ripple in the fog, leaving behind only the steady knock. 1, 2, 3, echoing softly through the hold. Your breath feels sharp in your throat, a thin, cold thread tethering you to the moment. The doll is heavy in your arms, her eyes half-lidded, as though she too is listening. You turn slowly, the fog curling in delicate tendrils around your boots, the air damp and close. The hold stretches out before you in dim shapes and shifting shadows, barrels and crates rising like islands in the gloom. The smell of salt and something older, something sweet and faintly metallic, lingers, clinging to the walls, to your skin. To the breath you draw in slow, careful sips. Your gaze drifts downward. The footprints are clearer now, small, bare, the faint outline of toes splayed slightly, pressed into the damp wood. They lead in a slow, meandering path toward the far wall, where the bulkhead looms, dark and quiet. You follow, each step cautious, your boots whispering against the boards. The ship creaks softly, a low, tired sound, as if it is exhaling around you. And then you notice it. A faint glow, subtle and pulsing, seeping from the edges of a crate near the wall. It's not bright. More like the last flicker of a candle or the soft shimmer of a dying ember. But it's there, unmistakable. You pause, heart beating slow and deliberate, the doll in your arms feeling warmer now, almost alive. You approach the crate, the glow reflecting faintly off the damp wood, casting thin, warped shadows across the floor. Your fingers brush the surface, smooth, worn, and the crate hums faintly beneath your touch, a low vibration that seems to pulse in time with your heartbeat. You lift the lid. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth stained dark with age, is a bundle of objects, small, strange things that seem to hum in the quiet. A pocket watch, its face cracked, the hands frozen at midnight. A length of braided hair, tied with a faded ribbon. A child's wooden spinning top, the paint worn smooth. And a small, delicate shoe, matching the one you found in the captain's quarters. Your breath catches, the weight of the objects pressing down, heavy and cold. The fog thickens, curling closer, and the glow fades, as if swallowed by the dark. You reach for the pocket watch, fingertips brushing the cracked glass. The moment you touch it, the hold shifts, the floor tilting slightly beneath you, the timbers groaning in protest. A sound, soft, distant, almost like laughter, flickers through the gloom. You freeze. The doll's head tilts, her glass eyes catching the faintest glimmer of that fading light. And then, the knock again. Not from the floor. From above. Directly overhead. A soft, deliberate rhythm, 3 slow beats. You glance up, the ceiling close, low beams draped with ropes and shadows. The air feels thick, charged, as if the ship is holding something just out of reach, waiting for you to ask the right question. You close the crate gently, the objects inside settling with a faint sigh, as though they too have been waiting for this moment to pass. The footprints lead away now, turning back toward the ladder, each step small, deliberate, as if whoever left them knew exactly where they were going. You follow, the doll pressed tight against your chest, her weight a steady, quiet reminder. The knock repeats, soft, slow, measured, drawing you upward, back toward the deck, toward the pale fog light that seems to hover just beyond the hatch. You ascend, boots creaking softly, the air tightening with each step, as if the ship itself is holding its breath. And when you reach the deck, you pause. The ship is empty. The fog wraps everything in a soft, silver blur, edges softened, sounds muffled. The wheel stands still, the sails hanging limp. The bell above the helm is quiet, ropes still. But the footprints, they continue. Faint, barely visible, leading across the deck toward the bow. You follow, the dull heavy, the pocket watch cold in your hand. The knock comes again. 1, 2, 3, and then stops. You pause at the rail. The fog parts just slightly, and for a breath, you see it, a shape in the water. Not a reflection. Not a trick of the mist. A figure. Floating. Arms outstretched, eyes closed, face turned toward the sky. You blink, heart tight in your chest, but the figure is gone. The water laps gently against the hull, the fog closing in. The ship creaks softly, the sound low, almost like a sigh. And from somewhere deep below, so faint you almost miss it, a whisper. Not words exactly. Just a name. Your name. The whisper fades, swallowed by the fog, but the chill it leaves behind lingers in the air, in your bones, in the hollow space between heartbeats. You stand at the rail, breath held, the dull glass eyes catching the dim, scattered light like faint stars on a black sea. The ship sways gently, the motion subtle, like a cradle rocked by hands unseen. The water laps against the hull, soft and rhythmic, as if keeping time with a story you can almost hear, almost, but not quite. You close your eyes, just for a moment, the fog damp against your skin. The name that drifted through the air, your name, still echoes faintly, like a word whispered into an ear and then forgotten. You open your eyes again. The footprints are gone. Vanished. The deck stretches out before you, empty, the fog curling in slow, languid shapes around the masts. The wheel stands silent, the ropes sway gently, and the bell above the helm remains still, no chime, no echo. You turn slowly, scanning the deck, each step careful, deliberate. The boards creak beneath your boots, soft and tired, the sound of wood bearing witness. You pause near the galley, the faint scent of salt and something else, something like charred wood and faint spices, drifting out through the open door. You hesitate, the dull warm in your arms, her weight steady, grounding. The key in your pocket feels cold again, sharp at the edges. You step inside. The galley is dim, the light thin, gray, filtering through a single fog porthole. The table is set, plates arranged neatly, cups resting on their sides, a knife and fork placed carefully atop a cloth napkin. A loaf of bread sits on a plate, partially sliced, the crust darkened, the edges crumbling slightly. A faint trace of steam curls from a kettle on the stove, impossibly faint, as though it was left moments ago, though you know that can't be. The scent of tea lingers in the air, subtle but unmistakable. Your gaze drifts across the table. A cup is overturned, a thin line of liquid, dark, almost black in the dim light, trailing across the wood like a question mark left unanswered. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. You step closer, fingers brushing the edge of the table, the wood cool and slick beneath your touch. The doll's head tilts slightly in your arms, her glass eyes catching a glint of light you can't see. A faint sound reaches your ears, soft, delicate, almost like the clink of a spoon against porcelain. You freeze. The sound repeats, once, twice, then fades, the quiet rushing back in like a wave. You glance at the stove. The kettle sits still, but the faintest trace of warmth seems to hover around it, as if it remembers the heat. You move to the cupboards, opening one slowly. Inside, jars of dried herbs, a small tin of salt, a few dusty bottles, their labels faded and peeling. You lift one, amber glass, sealed tight, and turn it in your hand. The label reads, in careful, curling script, laudanum. For the easing of nerves. You set it back, the weight of it heavy in the quiet. Your eyes drift downward. The doll's dress is damp now, the fabric darkens slightly, as if it has absorbed something from the air.
The fog presses closer, seeping through the cracks in the wood, curling around your boots like a soft, slow tide. A sound, faint, rhythmic, draws your attention back to the table. The knife. It rocks gently on the cloth, its blade glinting faintly in the dim light. Back and forth. Back and forth. You hold your breath, watching. The knife slows. Stops. And then, from the far corner of the galley, a soft, almost imperceptible hum. The same tune from before. The doll in your arms shifts, her weight settling, and you feel it again. A subtle vibration, like the ship itself is remembering something it cannot say aloud. You turn slowly, the sound fading, the fog swallowing the corners of the room. Your breath is slow, careful, the key a cold weight in your pocket, the doll's eyes gleaming faintly in the dim light. The galley waits, the table set, the bread crumbling slowly, the tea scent fading like a dream you can't quite recall. And beneath it all, beneath the fog, beneath the boards, the knock returns. Soft. Steady. 3 times. And you realize, with a quiet certainty that settles deep into your chest, the Mary Celeste isn't empty. It never was. The knock fades again, slipping away like breath into fog, leaving behind a stillness so deep it hums in your ears. You stand in the galley, the table laid out as if waiting for a meal that was never finished, or perhaps never begun. The doll's weight presses into your arm, her head tilted slightly toward the sound, her glass eyes dull but alert. Your fingers brush the edge of the table, the wood faintly warm, as if the ship itself had been holding the memory of a meal, a moment. The air smells faintly of salt, of bread turning stale, of tea gone cold. You step back slowly, boots soft on the deck, each creak of the boards beneath you sharp in the quiet. The fog curls in around the door, soft and pale, wrapping the galley in a thin veil. Prosody. Speak.
The air feels tighter now, as though the walls are drawing closer, the ceiling lower. The ship is breathing, slow and deliberate, each groan of the timbers a quiet inhale, each shift of the ropes a subtle exhale. You step onto the deck, the fog thick and cold against your skin. The sails hang limp, damp with moisture, their edges frayed, the fabric whispering faintly as it stirs. The wheel stands still, the ropes slack. The bell above the helm sways gently, a slow, steady rhythm, the sound too soft to be a chime, too steady to be chance. You move toward the helm. The dull pressed close, the key in your pocket cold and sharp. The deck is slick beneath your boots, damp with fog and something else, something faintly sticky, barely visible. You reach the wheel, fingers brushing the spokes, the wood smooth, polished by hands long gone. Your fingers catch on a groove, a faint mark worn into the surface. You trace it absently, the shape familiar. Letters, perhaps. You lean closer. Yes, letters, faint and weathered. B-R-I-G-S. The captain's name, carved into the wood. You breathe slowly, the fog curling around your face, your breath catching in your throat. A soft sound reaches your ears. The faintest clink of glass on wood. You turn, scanning the deck. The table by the galley door, empty a moment ago, now holds a single object. A bottle. Dark glass, the cork intact, a faint shimmer of condensation catching the dim light. You step closer, the doll's weight shifting slightly in your arms. The bottle is old, the glass thick, the label faded but just legible. Elixir for dreams. For restful sleep and safe passage. Your fingers close around the bottle, the glass cold, slick. The fog thickens, the ship creaking beneath you, a low, tired sigh. You unstopper the bottle. The scent drifts out, lavender, salt, something faintly sweet, something sharp like iron. You tilt it slightly. A single drop falls onto the deck. The wood darkens, absorbing it, as if the ship itself is thirsty. The knock returns. Not below. Above. In the rigging. A soft, deliberate tap, as if someone were waiting, patient and precise. You glance upward. The fog clings to the masts, the sails draped like heavy curtains, the ropes swaying gently. A shape flickers in the corner of your vision, small, quick, vanishing the moment you focus. Your breath tightens, the dull warm against your chest. You hear it again. A hum. Faint. Gentle. The same tune as before, rising from the fog, curling around the masts, slipping through the rigging like a lullaby forgotten in the dark. You step back toward the helm, fingers tightening on the bottle, the key a cold weight in your pocket. The doll's head shifts slightly, her glass eyes reflecting something you can't quite see. The hum grows louder, filling the space, wrapping around you. And then, the bell above the helm tolls once. A deep, low note that vibrates through the deck, through the fog, through your ribs. You freeze, the sound lingering, fading slowly. The ship sighs. The fog swells. And in the distance, far off, almost too faint to be real, you hear it. A voice. Soft. Familiar. Calling your name. The sound lingers in the air, your name. Breathed on a current that isn't quite wind. You turn, slowly, the fog clinging to your skin, to your clothes, to your breath itself, as if it's trying to seep inside. The doll is warm in your arms, her weight pressing into you, a reminder that this is not a dream you can wake from. Your eyes scan the deck, empty, still, waiting. The bell above the helm sways faintly, a soft, near-silent clink of metal on rope, as if marking time in a language you don't understand. You whisper your name aloud, voice low, unsure whether you're confirming the sound or testing the air. It feels strange on your tongue, like saying it in a place that doesn't want it remembered. No reply. Only the creak of the ship, the faint lap of water against the hull, and that quiet, lingering hum, softer now, almost beneath the level of hearing, but there. Always there. You glance down at the deck. A faint smear catches your eye, dark, thin, a trail barely visible against the damp wood. It leads away from the helm, toward the forward hatch. You follow. The doll's head tilts slightly, as if she's watching too, glass eyes catching the faint shimmer of the fog-dimmed light. The smear is uneven, as though something, or someone, was dragged. It disappears at the edge of the hatch, where the boards are slick and the shadows pool. You pause at the opening, the darkness yawning wide beneath your feet, the smell rising, salt, old wood, and something sharper now, like damp iron. You descend, each step slow, careful. The hold greets you like an exhale, cool, heavy, pressing against your skin. The sound of the ship shifts here, softer, muffled, as if the walls themselves are listening. You step onto the deck below. The smear continues. A dark line, curving around barrels, slipping between crates. You follow, boots silent, breath shallow. The doll in your arms feels warmer now, as though she's absorbing the chill. And then, ahead, a shape. You freeze. It's small, low to the ground, not moving. Your pulse slows, each beat heavy, deliberate. You step closer. It's a hat. A child's hat. Blue, once. Now faded, edges frayed. A small bow stitched to the side, threads unraveling. You crouch, hand hovering above it. The hat is damp, the fabric cold, but the shape of it is still there, as if it had been worn only moments before. You pick it up slowly. The air around you seems to tighten, the fog pressing in, the wood creaking beneath your feet like an old man sighing in his sleep. A faint sound stirs the air. Not footsteps. Not the knock. Something softer. A breath. Or a whisper. Right behind you. You turn sharply, nothing. Only the hold, the barrels, the crates. But the smear on the floor? It's no longer just a line. It's a trail of small, damp footprints, bare, toes played, leading deeper into the dark. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. Your breath catches. You rise, the hat in one hand, the doll heavy in the other, and follow. The footprints curve around a stack of crates, disappearing into a narrow gap near the bulkhead. The air is colder here, sharper, biting against your skin. You squeeze through, careful, the walls pressing in, the space barely wide enough. The smell changes, salt, yes, but also something older. Like parchment, leather, the faintest trace of wax. You emerge into a small compartment,
hidden from view. And there, a trunk. Heavy, dark wood, edges worn smooth, iron hinges rusted. The key in your pocket feels heavy now, almost vibrating against your leg. You step forward, heart tight, breath shallow. The doll shifts in your arms. You place her gently on a crate, her eyes tilted toward the trunk, as if she's waiting too. You draw the key from your pocket. It fits. The lock turns with a slow, reluctant click. The lid creaks open, hinges stiff, groaning under the weight of time. Inside, letters. Hundreds of them. Faded ink, yellowed paper, the edges curled like dried leaves. Your hands tremble as you lift one. The words blur, the ink smudged by moisture, but you make out a fragment. She sings to the sea. We sail toward nothing. The stars are gone. You lift another. If you find this, remember, there is no end. Only the sea. Your breath shudders in your chest. The doll's head tilts again, her glass eyes catching a faint glimmer of light. You close the lid slowly, the weight of it heavy in your hands, the letters settling with a soft sigh. The footprints vanish beneath the trunk. The fog thickens, the ship groans. And the knock returns. Soft. Steady. Waiting. The knock echoes once more, soft, deliberate, like a question left hanging in the dark. You stay still, barely breathing, the sound settling into the air around you, the fog curling tighter like a shroud. The trunk sits heavy and silent before you, the letters inside quiet now, their whispers absorbed into the stillness. The doll's glass eyes glint faintly in the dim light, her small hands folded neatly in her lap, her head tilted just enough to suggest she's listening. The key feels colder in your pocket now, as if the touch of the trunk has drained some warmth from it. You glance down at the footprints. They stop at the base of the trunk, small ghosts played outward, as though whoever walked here simply ceased. The ship creaks softly beneath you, a slow, stretching sound like old bones shifting in the night. You rise, the doll still in your arms, her weight solid, almost anchoring. The fog presses in, denser now, muting the edges of the room, swallowing the shapes of barrels and crates. Your breath comes slow and careful, each inhale tasting of salt, damp wood, and something else, faintly sweet, like dried flowers and fading ink. You step back into the narrow passage, the wood brushing your shoulders, the air tight and close. / prosody. / speak.
The fog clings, seeping through the cracks, soft tendrils winding around your boots, your hands, the doll's pale dress. The knock returns, 2, then 3, patient, steady. It comes from above. You glance up, the beams dark and heavy overhead, the ropes swaying faintly. A faint shape moves in the fog, a flicker, a blur. But when you look again, there's nothing. You climb the ladder, boots careful on the damp rungs. Each creak is swallowed quickly by the fog, as though the ship itself is absorbing the sound, holding it tight. The deck greets you in silence, the fog wrapping everything in soft, blurred edges. The sails hang limp, the ropes sway gently, and the wheel stands still, its spokes stark and damp beneath the weight of the mist. And then you see it. Near the helm. A small, faint glow. You approach slowly, the doll pressing into your side, her glass eyes glinting faintly, the weight of her growing heavier with each step. The glow sharpens into a shape. A lantern. Lit. The flame inside small and steady, casting a faint circle of pale, yellow light on the deck. You pause, the fog swirling around your boots, your breath caught in your throat. The lantern flickers, a soft dance of flame, as if stirred by a breeze you cannot feel. You step closer, the wood damp beneath your boots, the doll's head resting against your chest. And then you hear it. A soft, rhythmic tapping. Not the knock from before. This is different. Delicate. Faint. Like fingers brushing across glass. Your gaze shifts. The porthole. A small, fogged circle of glass near the captain's quarters. The tapping is soft, steady, as if someone, or something, waits just beyond the glass, patient, unhurried. You step closer, breath shallow, heart slow. The fog curls tighter, the ship creaks low, and the air seems to hum faintly, a vibration you can feel in your chest. You raise a hand, fingertips hovering just above the cold glass. The tapping stops. You wait, breath held. And then, a single, faint shape appears in the fogged glass. A hand. Small. Delicate. Pressed flat against the pane. Your breath catches, the fog thickening, the doll's eyes shining faintly in the dim light. The hand vanishes. The glass fogs over, smooth and blank once more. The lantern flame gutters, a flicker, a sigh. And the knock returns. Soft. Steady. Waiting. The doll in your arms feels heavier than ever. And the ship, it feels like it's breathing again. The ship sighs beneath you, a long, slow creak that feels like an exhale held for too long. The fog thickens around your shoulders, curling into the folds of your coat, seeping into the very breath you draw. The knock fades, but its echo lingers, a subtle pulse that thrums in the back of your mind, just beneath the surface of thought. The lanterns glow dim slightly, the flame inside shrinking, as if it too is listening. The deck feels softer beneath your boots now, as though the wood itself is tired, worn thin by the weight of stories and salt.
Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. The doll is heavy in your arms, her glass eyes catching the faintest gleam of light, a shimmer that flickers and fades with the movement of the ship. You glance toward the wheel. The fog shifts there, just slightly, a ripple in the air that draws your gaze like a tug on an invisible thread. The spokes glisten faintly with moisture, each one darkened by time, and beneath them, the faint scratches of the captain's name still catch the dim glow. But something else is there. A shape. Faint. A shadow. You blink, breath shallow, and the shape is gone, the fog smoothing over the space like a blanket pulled tight. The knock returns, softer now, slower. A pause between each sound, as if whoever, or whatever, is tapping is growing tired, or more patient. Your gaze shifts to the doll. Her head tilts slightly, her hands folded neatly in her lap, the fabric of her dress darkening, as if the fog has seeped into the stitches themselves. A faint hum rises, barely audible, a soft tune that winds through the fog like a forgotten melody. It curls around the masts, dips low over the deck, and settles into the air like a breath you didn't know you were holding. You step forward, the key in your pocket cold and sharp, the doll warm against your side. The ship creaks beneath you, the sound low and long, like the groan of a sleeper turning over. Your boots leave faint impressions on the deck, prints that vanish almost as soon as they form, swallowed by the fog that hugs the wood. And then you see it. Near the bow, half hidden in the gloom, a small, pale shape. You move toward it, slowly, the doll pressing close, her eyes catching the flickering glow of the lantern as you pass. It's a shoe. Small. Child-sized. The match to the one you found before. You kneel, breath catching in your throat, and pick it up. The leather is soft, damp, edges frayed, the faintest trace of a name stitched inside, S. Briggs. Your pulse slows, heavy in your chest. The fog shifts again, a soft swirl that brushes against your skin like the whisper of a voice you almost remember. You glance up. The shape is back. Faint. Blurred. Standing at the bow. Small shoulders. A tilt of the head. A flicker of white fabric that shimmers and fades. You rise, the shoe in one hand, the doll in the other, and step forward. The shape doesn't move. Doesn't vanish. Just waits. The knock returns, 1, 2, 3. Soft. Deliberate. You pause, breath slow, careful, the fog curling around your ankles like cold smoke. The shape flickers again. A breath of a figure. A ghost of a child. Standing at the edge of the ship, staring into the endless fog, her face turned away. The doll's glass eyes glance softly, the key cold against your leg. The ship sighs. And the fog swallows everything whole. The fog thickens, swallowing the shape at the bow until it's as if it were never there. /prosody. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. You stand very still, the doll a steady weight in your arms, the shoe cold in your hand, the key pressed into your side like a whisper of something unsaid. The knock is gone now, or perhaps it's simply waiting. The ship breathes around you, boards groaning softly, ropes swaying in rhythms only they know. The sails hang heavy, damp with moisture, edges frayed and torn by time. The fog curls low, brushing your boots like the hem of a forgotten dress. The smell of salt is stronger now, mixed with something faintly metallic, like the memory of iron left to rust in the rain. Your gaze drifts to the helm. The wheel stands still, the spokes dark and wet. The brass fittings catch a faint glimmer of light, moonlight, maybe, though the sky above is swallowed by fog. You approach, steps slow, the ship creaking softly beneath you. The bell above the helm sways gently, a quiet, patient motion. The clapper does not strike. The sound it promises never comes. You pause at the wheel, fingers brushing the worn grooves of the wood. The doll's head tilts in your arms, her glass eyes catching the faintest reflection, as if watching the wheel too. And then you feel it. A faint, rhythmic vibration, soft, steady, pulsing through the deck beneath your boots. Not the creak of the ship. Not the whisper of the fog. Something deeper. A thrum, like a heartbeat buried in wood. You close your eyes, breath held, and feel it again. Steady. Soft. Alive. Your hand closes around the key. It feels warmer now, the edges less sharp, as if the metal itself has softened under the weight of this place. The doll shifts slightly, her fabric damp, her scent faintly lavender, faintly salt. You turn, gaze sweeping across the deck. The fog parts in slow, swirling eddies, revealing shapes half seen, the rigging swaying in slow arcs, a coil of rope unraveling on the boards, a lantern guttering low on its hook. And then you see it. Near the forward hatch. A faint glow. Not bright. Not steady. A flicker, like a breath caught in the dark. You move toward it, the ship groaning softly beneath your feet, the fog closing behind you like a curtain drawn tight. The glow sharpens. A single candle. Lit. Its flame small, wavering, a thin wisp of smoke curling upward into the fog. You crouch, the doll warm against your side, the key a solid weight in your hand. The candle rests on a folded scrap of cloth. And beneath it, a name. Scratched faintly into the deck. Barely visible. Sophia. Your breath catches, the air tight in your chest. The candle flickers, the flame leaning as if toward you. And then it gutters. Flickers. And goes out. The fog breathes in around you, soft and heavy, the ship creaking low and long. You rise, the doll in your arms, the shoe tucked into your pocket, the key cold once more. And you hear it. The knock. Soft. Patient. Waiting. The ship sighs. And the fog closes in. /prosody. /speak.
The knock fades into the quiet, and for a long moment, all you hear is the soft breath of the fog and the faint creak of the ship settling into its own story. The air feels heavier now, as if the ship itself is holding on to you, unwilling to let go. The deck beneath your boots feels softer, the wood swelling slightly with damp, the scent of salt and old varnish rising around you like a forgotten hymn. The doll in your arms is heavier still, her fabric cold against your chest, her glass eyes dimming slightly in the thinning light. You shift your grip on her, careful, as if she might shatter, as if she is already. The key is a quiet weight in your pocket, colder now, as if it has been left in ice. You turn slowly, scanning the deck. The fog curls in slow spirals, coiling around the masts and ropes like smoke, like a thought half-formed and left to linger. The wheel stands silent, the bell above it swaying faintly but offering no sound. The sails droop, damp and heavy, and the ropes sway as if tugged by hands you cannot see. You step forward, breath slow, the sound of your boots soft against the boards. The knock returns, soft, steady, a low pulse like a heartbeat that does not belong to you. It comes from below again. A call. An invitation. You hesitate at the hatch, the darkness below stretching out like a mouth waiting to swallow you whole. The fog thickens at the edges, the air cooler, denser. The ship seems to lean slightly beneath your feet, as if shifting to guide you downward. You descend. The hold welcomes you with a hush, the smell of salt and old wood stronger here, the fog pooling low, swirling around the barrels and crates like restless spirits. The footprints are back. Faint. Small. Bare. They weave between the crates, curving slowly toward the bulkhead. The doll stirs in your arms, or perhaps it's just the ship's gentle sway, the subtle groan of wood underweight. You follow. The knock repeats, slower now, as if the rhythm is changing, waiting for you to match it. And then you see it, a faint, shimmering outline in the dark. A door. Not part of the ship's design. Not there before. Old wood, warped and dark, a handle worn smooth by hands you cannot see. The door hums softly, a vibration that shivers into your fingertips as you reach out, the key warming in your pocket as if it knows where it belongs. You pause. The doll's glass eyes catch the faint glint of the door, her head tilting ever so slightly, her dress darkening as if it absorbs the fog itself. The knock stops. The hold is silent. Your breath loud in the hush. You draw the key. It hums in your palm, a low, thrumming sound that feels like a name half whispered, half remembered. You fit it into the lock. It turns. A click, soft and final. The door creaks open, the hinges groaning, the scent of salt and lavender flooding out in a wave. Inside, darkness. And something else. A glint. A shake. You step closer, the fog swirling behind you, the door widening as if it breathes. And there, a chair. An old wooden chair, carved and worn, its surface darkened by time. A figure sits in it, small and still, face turned away. You hesitate, breath catching, the doll warm and heavy in your arms. The figure's head tilts, just slightly. The air stills. The fog presses in. The ship sighs. And the knock begins again. Soft. Steady. Waiting. The knock echoes softly, 3 times, a quiet summons that settles into the wood, into the fog, into the pulse that seems to beat beneath your feet. The figure in the chair remains still, unmoving, head tilted away, a silhouette carved from shadow and memory. The fog swirls around them, brushing the edges of their form, blurring the lines between solid and air. Your breath comes shallow, measured, the doll warm in your arms, her glass eyes glinting faintly in the dim, heavy light. The key is cool again. A quiet presence in your pocket, its shape etched into your skin as if it has always been there. The figure breathes, or perhaps it's the ship, the fog, the sound of your own heartbeat slowing into the rhythm of this place. The fog shifts around the chair, revealing details in small, careful flickers, the smooth curve of an armrest, worn thin by touch, the faint glint of metal at the figure's wrist, the pale edge of fabric trailing down like the hem of a dress caught in the tide. You step forward, slow, boots soft on the boards, each creak swallowed by the fog. The doll's head leans slightly in your grip, her weight a steady, quiet anchor. And then, the figure moves. A slow turn of the head, no more than a breath, revealing the curve of a cheek, the glint of a glass eye, not flesh. Porcelain. A doll's face, lifelike yet lifeless, the features delicate, the expression serene. You freeze. The doll in your arms feels heavier, her glass eyes reflecting the faintest shimmer of light from the figure in the chair. A breath, yours, catches in your throat. The figure tilts its head slightly, as if listening. The knock repeats. Soft. Steady. 3 times. You take another step, the fog curling tighter, pressing against your skin, your chest, your breath. The air tastes of salt, of old paper, of the faintest trace of lavender. The figure's hands rest on the arms of the chair, fingers long and slender, carved in perfect detail. A faint crack runs across one knuckle, darkened with age. You glance down at the doll in your arms. A faint line runs across her wrist, matching the crack exactly. The ship creaks, a long, slow sound like a sigh held too long. The figure in the chair does not move again. But you feel it, a presence. Not behind you. Not in front. Everywhere. The ship itself seems to pulse, a quiet, steady thrum that settles into your bones. You take another step. The figure's head turns again. Slower this time, the porcelain face catching the dim light in a soft, pearly sheen. Her eyes, glass, like the doll's, gaze past you, into the fog, seeing something you cannot. The knock fades. The silence stretches, long and thin, pulling at the edges of your thoughts. You reach for the figure's hand. The porcelain is cold beneath your fingers. It feels familiar. Too familiar. The doll's head tilts in your arms, her glass eyes catching the faintest glint of the fog's light, and for a breath, you think, no. You know. They are the same. The doll in your arms. The figure in the chair. The ship's eyes, a long, low groan that vibrates through the boards, through your ribs, into the breath you hold tight in your throat. The fog curls, closing the space between you. And the knock returns. Soft. Steady. Waiting. The knock pulses through the fog, soft and slow, like the faint, fading echo of a heartbeat in a body long at rest. The ship creaks around you, the boards shifting beneath your boots as though adjusting to your presence, or perhaps to the weight of the story you now carry. The figure in the chair is still, her porcelain skin catching the thin, pale light and glints that seem to move even when you do not. The doll in your arms feels impossibly heavy now, her fabric damp, her head tilted slightly toward the figure, as though she too is watching. Your breath slips out in a long, careful exhale. The fog curls tighter, the air cooling with each step you take. The scent of salt deepens, mingled with something faintly floral, lavender, perhaps, or the ghost of something sweeter. You step closer, boots soft on the boards, the ship sighing low and long. The doll's glass eyes catch the faint glow that lingers around the figure, the match of their reflection sending a shiver down your spine. Your hand reaches toward the figure's shoulder, the porcelain gleaming cold beneath your fingertips. The knock fades. A stillness settles, dense and soft, like the quiet that follows a storm, when the air is too heavy to breathe. And then, the figure's head tilts. A slow, deliberate shift, just enough to reveal the curve of a cheek, the faint outline of lips parted slightly as if to speak. Your heart stutters, caught between beats. The doll in your arms shifts, subtle, but certain. Her weight settles, her fabric brushing against your coat, her presence suddenly undeniable. The figure's hand moves. Not much, just the faintest curl of fingers against the armrest, as though she's testing the shape of her own memory. The fog deepens. The ship leans. And you hear it. A soft, breathy hum. The same tune, over and over, curling through the fog, slipping between the ropes, brushing against your skin. You whisper into the quiet, your voice barely audible, "Who are you?" The figure does not answer. But the hum grows louder, more certain, as if the ship itself is singing, its timbers carrying the sound through the decks, through the fog, through the spaces between heartbeats. You turn slightly, gaze sweeping across the hold. The shadows shift. The footprints, small, bare, appear again, leading away from the figure. Back toward the hatch. Back toward the deck. You follow, the doll's glass eyes fixed forward, her weight grounding you as the fog pulls tighter, the ship groaning beneath your feet. The hum fades. The knock returns. Soft. Steady. 3 times. And then, silence. You reach the deck once more, the fog parting just enough to reveal the outline of the helm, the bell above it still, the ropes swaying gently. And there, near the rail, a figure. Small. Delicate. Standing with her back to you, her hair drifting in the fog, her dress white, her bare feet leaving faint, damp prints on the deck. She turns slightly, just enough for you to see the curve of a cheek, the glint of glass in her eyes. And then, she fades. The fog swallows her whole. The doll in your arms grows still, her weight steady, her fabric damp. And the ship waits. The fog swallows the figure whole, leaving behind only the faintest ripple in the air, as though she had been carved from the mist itself. You stand very still, the doll heavy in your arms, her glass eyes dulled by the damp, her weight a solid, cold anchor against your chest. The ship rocks beneath your boots, the boards creaking in a slow, tired rhythm. The knock has faded, for now, but the silence it leaves behind feels heavier, thicker, as if it's waiting for you to fill it with the sound of your own breath. You glance at the rail, where the figure had stood. A faint trace remains, a single, small footprint pressed into the damp wood, toe splayed slightly, as if the weight that made it had been light, almost. Not there at all. The fog drifts in soft curls around your ankles, low and patient, pressing close without urgency. The sails hang still, edges heavy with moisture, and the wheel stands unmoved. its spokes darkened by the fading light. The bell above the helm is quiet. You glance down at the doll. Her head tilts ever so slightly, her dress darkened, the fabric clinging faintly to your coat as though it too has soaked up the weight of this place. You whisper into the fog, voice low and careful, "What do you want?" The ship creaks in reply, a long, slow groan that feels less like a sound and more like a thought. The fog stirs slightly, curling upward, brushing your cheek, damp and cold. The doll shifts, just a little. Her glass eyes glint faintly, catching the dull gleam of the lantern near the helm. Its flame flickering low. And then you hear it, a breath. Soft. Deliberate. Right beside you. Your pulse stumbles, a sharp, tight flicker in your chest. You turn, nothing. Only fog. Only silence. The ship creaks again. Deeper this time, as if the boards themselves are stretching beneath a weight too old to name. You move toward the helm. The lanterns glow soft against your face, the doll's head resting against your shoulder. The scent of salt is stronger now, tinged with something faintly sweet, almost like sugar left too long in the air. Your fingers brush the wheel spokes. The wood is damp, the groove smoothed by countless hands. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. You feel the faintest pulse beneath your palm, a slow, steady thrum that does not match your own heartbeat. The doll hums. A low, quiet sound, so soft you might think it's only in your head, except you can feel it, a subtle vibration beneath your fingers, a hum that seems to seep into the wood, into the fog, into the very air you breathe. You close your eyes for a moment. And the knock returns. 1, 2, 3. The fog presses in, curling close around your boots, your hands, the doll's small frame. You whisper her name. Sophia. The fog pauses, just for a breath, then closes in tighter, as though you've said something the ship has been waiting to hear. The knock fades. The hum lingers. And the ship sighs, deep and long, a sound that seems to come from the very heart of the sea. The doll's glass eyes glint faintly in the lantern's glow, her head tilting toward the horizon where fog swallows everything whole. The sea waits. The ship waits. And you wait too. The fog breathes against your skin, curling soft and damp around your fingers, your boots, the doll's pale dress. The hum fades, slipping away into the quiet, but the weight of it remains, settled into the ship's bones, into the air, into the beat of your own heart. The lantern's flame flickers low, a soft pulse barely holding the dark at bay. You stand still, the ship creaking around you, the wood groaning in long, slow exhalations. The scent of salt is sharp now, tinged with something fainter, almost sweet, like fruit left too long in the sun. You whisper again. Voice low, careful, Sophia? The name feels strange on your tongue, as if it doesn't belong to the air here, as if saying it aloud tugs the fog closer. A breath drifts past your ear, soft, so soft, a brush of air that smells of lavender and salt. The doll's head tilts slightly in your arms, her glass eyes catching the dim glow, her weight warm and steady. You glance at the helm. The wheel moves. A slow, deliberate turn, just a fraction of a degree, but enough to make the ropes creak. The sails flutter faintly as if stirred by hands you cannot see. You step forward, boots soft on the boards. The fog parts slightly, curling back to reveal a new shape. A small chair. Carved wood, worn smooth by years of touch, edges softened by time. And in the chair, a book. Leather bound, damp at the edges, its pages yellowed, curling like leaves in autumn. The doll's head tilts further, her gaze fixed on the book, as if she knows it, as if it knows her. You reach out, fingers brushing the cover. It's warm. Your breath hitches. You lift the book, the leather soft under your fingertips. The spine creaks faintly, the pages whispering as you open it. Inside, words. Faint, almost faded into the paper, but there. The sea holds what it takes. The ship remembers. The fog keeps the rest. A name written in the margin, small and delicate, S. Briggs. Your chest tightens. /prosody. /speak. The doll's fabric is damp now, her weight shifting slightly in your arms as if she's listening, waiting. You flip the page. A sketch, faint, lines blurred by moisture. A ship. The Mary Celeste. Drifting, empty, sails half furled. And in the corner, a figure. Small. Standing at the rail. Hair curling in the wind, dress fluttering in the fog. Your pulse stumbles. The doll's head tilts further, as if she's looking at the drawing, as if she's been waiting for you to see it. The knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. Soft. Steady. The fog thickens, curling low, hugging the deck, seeping into your breath. You close the book slowly, the words still echoing in your head. The ship creaks, a low groan that hums through the boards, through your bones. The lantern flutters, the flame bending as if in a wind that doesn't exist. The doll's eyes glint, a faint, cold glimmer. And you hear it, a whisper, so soft it's almost lost in the fog. You're part of it now. The ship waits. The fog waits. And you breathe, slow and careful, as the knock continues. Soft. Steady. Waiting. The knock fades once more, the sound dissolving into the quiet like a breath you've been holding too long. The fog presses close, thick and heavy, blurring the edges of the ship until it feels like you're standing on a memory, soft, half-formed, slipping away the harder you try to hold onto it. The doll in your arms is warm, her glass eyes catching the faintest glint of light as if they see something you cannot. Her weight presses into you, a steady, quiet reminder that you are not alone, no matter how much the fog tries to convince you otherwise. You turn slowly, the book in your hands, its leather damp, the pages humming faintly beneath your fingers. The words you read linger in your mind, the sea holds what it takes. The ship remembers. The fog keeps the rest. Your breath shivers in your chest, slow and uneven, as you move toward the helm. The ship creaks beneath your boots, the boards groaning as though they're shifting under the weight of years, of stories, of secrets too heavy to hold. The lantern flickers low, its flame thin and trembling, casting long shadows that stretch and shift across the deck. The bell above the helm sways gently, a slow, steady rhythm that matches the beat of the ship beneath your feet. You pause at the wheel. The spokes are slick, damp with fog, the grooves worn smooth by hands long gone. You trace your fingers along the rim, feeling the faint, lingering warmth of touch that shouldn't be there. The fog curls tighter. And then you hear it. A faint, delicate sound, so soft it's almost a suggestion of sound. Breathing. Not yours. Not the ship's. Something else. The doll stirs in your arms, her head tilting slightly toward the source of the sound. You follow her gaze. The hatch to the hold stands slightly ajar, fog spilling up and over the edges like a breath escaping from below. The knock returns. Soft. Steady. 3 times. Your fingers tighten around the book, the key in your pocket pressing sharp against your leg, the doll warm, her dress damp against your coat. You whisper into the quiet, your voice barely audible, "I'm listening." The ship creaks, the sound long and low, stretching into the fog. The knock fades. The breathing stops. And the fog curls in, wrapping around your boots, your hands, your breath. You step toward the hatch, each footfall soft, careful. The air is colder here, the scent sharper, salt, damp wood, something faintly metallic. You descend once more. The hold is dark, the fog thicker, heavier, pooling in the spaces between crates and barrels like something alive. The air feels thicker, each breath a little harder to take. The knock returns, soft, steady, patient. And then, a whisper. Your name. Not spoken. Breathed. Soft as the fog, curling into the space between heartbeats. You pause, the doll warm and heavy in your arms. The footprints are back. Small. There. Leading deeper into the hold. You follow. The knock slows, each sound drawn out, as though waiting for you to match its pace. The fog thickens, blurring the lines of the ship, swallowing the edges of the world. And beneath it all, you feel it, a presence. Not watching. Not waiting. Just there. Breathing with you. The ship sighs, a long, low sound that hums through the boards, through your bones, through the doll's glass eyes. And you realize, you're not just on the Mary Celeste. You're part of it now. The fog wraps around you like a second skin, damp and heavy, blurring the edges of the hold until it feels like you're adrift in a space that is no longer entirely the Mary Celeste, or perhaps it never was. The footprints fade into the gloom, but the echo of their path lingers in your chest, a quiet rhythm that matches the steady thrum beneath your boots. The doll's weight is solid in your arms, her fabric damp, her head resting against your shoulder, the glass eyes catching the dim light like two small moons in the dark. The book you hold hums faintly in your palm, the words inside pulsing as if they are waiting for you to read them again, to understand something you haven't yet grasped. The knock is gone. But the ship is breathing. You can feel it, slow and steady, a long exhale through the beams and boards, a whisper curling through the fog. The scent of salt is sharper now, almost metallic, mixed with the faintest trace of lavender, of something old and forgotten. You step forward, careful, the boards soft underfoot, each creak swallowed quickly by the hush. The hold opens wider around you, shadows pressing in, shapes half formed in the fog. The barrels stand like sentinels, their edges blurred, the ropes coiled like sleeping serpents waiting to stir. And there, a glint. Faint. Small. You move toward it, the doll's head tilting slightly, her weight shifting as though she's guiding you. The glint sharpens into shape, a small locket, its chain tangled, the metal dulled by time. You lift it, the fog curling around your fingers, the cold of the locket biting into your skin. It opens easily, hinges smooth despite the damp. Inside, a portrait. A child's face, pale and soft, framed in dark curls, eyes wide and glassy. And on the other side, a single word, etched in delicate script. Sophia. The doll stirs in your arms, the hum low and soft, seeping through the fabric into your chest, into your breath. You close the locket, the weight of it heavy in your palm, and slip it into your pocket. The fog shifts, the air growing colder, heavier. A sound drifts through the hold. Not the knock. Not footsteps. A sigh. Long. Low. Almost human. Almost. You turn slowly, gaze sweeping across the shadows, each shape blurring at the edges, flickering in the thin, pale light. The ship creaks beneath you, the sound long and slow, like an old story being told again. Its edges softened by time. And then you hear it. The hum. Not from the doll. Not from the ship. From everywhere. A quiet, steady tune, rising through the boards, through the fog, curling into your ears, into your chest, into your breath. The doll's head tilts slightly, her eyes dim but watching. The ship's eyes, long and deep. And the fog presses in, soft and sure. The hum continues, a low, patient rhythm. And the ship waits. And you breathe. And listen. The hum seeps into your bones, a quiet vibration that wraps around your ribs and settles into the space behind your eyes. It's not a song, exactly, not words, not a tune you could ever hum yourself. It's a sound older than memory, older than the ship, older than the sea itself. The doll is heavy in your arms, her glass eyes glinting faintly as they catch the shifting glow of the lantern that flickers somewhere behind you. Her presence feels fused to you now, inseparable from the breath you take, the beat of your heart, the press of the fog against your skin. You move carefully through the hold, the air damp and cool, the fog pressing in from all sides. The footprints are gone again, swallowed into the boards, but the memory of them lingers, small, damp impressions that feel as though they could reappear at any moment, tracing a path you have no choice but to follow. The locket in your pocket hums faintly in time with the ship's slow, groaning breath. You can feel the words you read in the book earlier. The sea holds what it takes. The ship remembers. The fog keeps the rest, etching themselves deeper into your chest, as if they've always been there, waiting for you to find them. The knock returns. Once. Twice. A pause. Then 3 times. Soft. Patient. Deliberate. Your breath stirs the fog in front of you, the air curling away as though reluctant to be disturbed. You pause, listening. The hum shifts slightly, the tone deepening, a subtle shift that feels like an unseen gaze turning toward you. The ship groans again. A long, slow sound that stretches into the fog, a sound that feels almost like a question. The doll's head tilts, her eyes fixed on the shadows ahead. And then you see it. A faint, pulsing light, low and steady, coming from beneath a hatch near the bow. You step forward, the boards creaking beneath your boots. The fog curls tighter, the scent of salt and lavender sharpening in the air. The hatch waits, slightly ajar, the light spilling out in a thin, wavering glow. You crouch, the doll warm against your chest, the locket a steady weight in your pocket. Your fingers hover over the edge of the hatch, the wood damp and cool beneath your touch. The knock fades. The hum deepens. You lift the hatch. A cold breath of air rises, damp and heavy, carrying the scent of salt, of old wood, of something faintly floral and faintly wrong. The light flickers below, pale, soft, pulsing in time with the hum. You descend. The fog thickens, the air narrowing into a tunnel of sound and breath and quiet. The hold below is smaller, cramped. The space filled with crates and barrels, ropes hanging in loops from the ceiling, shadows pressed into the corners. In the center of the space, a table. Low, wooden, its surface worn smooth. And on it, the shape of a figure. Small. Still. Draped in white fabric, pale and faded, the edges damp with fog. The doll's glass eyes gleam faintly, her head tilting toward the figure as if she knows. You step closer, each footfall soft, swallowed quickly by the ship's steady breath. The hum fades. The fog presses in. And the knock returns. Once. Twice. Then silence. Waiting. You stand before the table, the air tight and cold. And the figure breathes. Just once. A slow, faint rise and fall of fabric. The doll in your arms is still. The ship groans beneath you, a long, low sigh. And the fog closes tight. The figure on the table is small, fragile, almost, beneath the folds of white fabric. The edges of the cloth ripple faintly, as if stirred by a breath too subtle to hear. The fog curls in close, the air thick with the scent of salt and something older, damp wood, faded lavender, the faintest hint of iron. Your breath stills in your throat. The doll in your arms is heavy now, heavier than she should be. Her glass eyes catch the dim light and reflect it back at you, dull and watchful. The locket in your pocket pulses gently, in time with the slow, rhythmic groan of the ship beneath your boots. You move closer, the boards creaking softly underfoot, the sound swallowed by the fog. The hum that had wrapped itself around you fades, leaving a quiet so complete it feels like the ship is holding its breath, waiting. The knock does not return. You reach toward the figure, hand trembling slightly, fingertips brushing the edge of the cloth. It's damp, cold, the fibers rough with age. The doll shifts in your grip. You pause. And then, with a slow, steady breath, you lift the fabric. Beneath it, a small, pale face. Porcelain. Delicate. Eyes closed, lips parted in a faint, restful curve. The hair is fine, dark, curling slightly at the edges, the strands tangled in a way that feels too familiar. Your breath catches. It's the same face. The same as the doll in your arms. The same as the figure in the chair. A quiet hum returns, soft and low, barely there, threading through the fog, through the ship, through your bones. The locket in your pocket warms. The doll's eyes glint faintly, her head tilting toward the figure on the table. The ship's eyes, a long, low creak that settles into the boards, into your chest, into the very breath you hold. And then, the figure's eyes open. Glass. Shining in the dim light. They shift slowly, turning toward you. The lips part. And in the smallest voice, soft as the fog, a whisper curls into the air. Remember me. The fog tightens. The ship groans. The knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. And the doll in your arms breathes. The breath from the doll is faint, so faint you might think you imagined it. But the air has changed. The fog feels thicker, heavier, pressing against your skin, your breath, the weight of the ship settling into your bones. The figure on the table stares at you, eyes glinting in the dim, shifting light. They seem to shimmer, not with warmth, not with life, but with a cold awareness, as though they see you and something beyond you, something you cannot name. You step back, heart tight in your chest, breath held sharp in your throat. The knock fades into the silence, but the echo of it remains, thudding against the inside of your ribs. The doll shifts in your arms, her head turning slightly toward the figure, her glass eyes catching the thin gleam of the lantern's flame. Her weight feels heavier now, as if the fog has seeped into her fabric, soaking into every stitch, every thread, until she's no longer just cloth and porcelain but something else, something old. The figure on the table blinks. Once. Slow. Deliberate. The ship creaks, the sound long and low, a breath held in the darkness. The fog thickens, curling low, brushing against your boots like fingers reaching through the dark. You whisper, your voice barely audible, "What are you?" No answer. But the doll's head tilts further, her face turned toward the figure, her mouth parting slightly as if she's about to speak. The knock returns. Soft. Steady. From everywhere at once. You turn, searching, the fog pressing in, the light from the lantern flickering as if it struggles to hold against the dark. And then, a sound. A soft, delicate scrape. Like porcelain sliding across wood. You glance down. The figure on the table is gone. Only the faint imprint of her shape remains in the damp fabric, a shallow depression in the cloth. The doll's weight shifts in your arms. Her eyes glint faintly, and you feel it again. That breath. Soft. Faint. Warm against your skin. You turn slowly, the fog parting just enough to reveal the faint outline of footprints. Small. Bare. Leading away from the table, toward the far side of the hold. You follow. Each step is soft, deliberate, your breath shallow, the knock a slow, steady rhythm that seems to seep into the walls, the boards, the air itself. The fog curls around you, the ship creaking, the ropes swaying gently above. The footprints vanish near the bulkhead, fading into the damp wood. But the air feels heavier here, the scent of salt and lavender stronger, sharper. The knock stops. The hum returns, low, deep, a quiet vibration that you feel in your chest, your breath, the pulse behind your eyes. The doll's head tilts back, her eyes fixed on the ceiling, her mouth parting slightly, and for a moment, just a moment, you think you hear a voice. Soft. Childlike. "We're still here." The fog presses in. The ship sighs. And the knock begins again. The knock echoes through the fog, soft and steady, like a heartbeat that doesn't quite belong to you. You stand in the dim hold, breath slow and careful, the doll heavy in your arms, her fabric damp, her glass eyes fixed on something beyond a veil of mist. The air feels thicker now, each inhale weighted, each exhale a struggle. The ship creaks beneath your feet, the boards sighing under the quiet pressure of the sea, of time, of something older than either. You take a step forward. The fog shifts around your boots, curling up like tendrils, slipping through the laces. The knock continues, patient, deliberate, as if the ship itself is marking time. The footprints, small, bare, almost too light to have been made by anything solid, reappear, faint impressions in the damp wood. They lead toward the far bulkhead, where the darkness feels denser, thicker, the fog folding into itself. The doll stirs, the shift of her weight subtle, the brush of fabric against your coat just enough to make your breath catch. Her head tilts slightly, her glass eyes reflecting the faintest shimmer of the lantern's dying flame. You follow the footprints. Each step feels slower, heavier, as if the ship is holding you back, or perhaps urging you forward in its own strange rhythm. The knock fades. The hum returns. Low. Deep. A pulse you feel more than hear, pressing into your ribs, your spine, the space behind your eyes. You pause at the bulkhead. The wood is slick with moisture, the scent of salt sharp in the air. A faint glint catches your eye, metal, small and worn, a latch you hadn't noticed before. The key in your pocket hums softly. You draw it out, the weight familiar now, as though it has always been yours. It slides into the latch as if it belongs. The lock clicks. The door creaks open, slow and reluctant. Inside, darkness. And the faintest glow. You step through, the fog parting just enough to reveal the shape of the room beyond. It's small, cramped, barely a chamber at all. A single chair. A lantern on the floor, its flame low, flickering like a breath about to die. And in the center of the room, a doll. Larger than the one in your arms, but the same. The same glass eyes. The same delicate hands folded in its lap. The same faint crack across one cheek. It sits, waiting, as if it has always been there. As if it has been waiting for you. The doll in your arms shifts again. Her head tilting toward the one on the floor, a soft hum vibrating through her fabric into your skin. The fog tightens. The ship groans. And the knock begins once more. Soft. Steady. 3 times. And the air feels thick with something you can't name. The ship is listening. And so are you. The knock fades once more, slipping into the hush that presses in around you. The dolls, one in your arms, the other on the floor, seem to mirror each other in the dim, fog-thickened light. Their glass eyes glint softly, catching the faint glow of the lantern, and for a breath, you swear they are looking at each other. The room hums, low and steady, a pulse that seems to seep into your bones, vibrating just beneath your skin. The air feels tighter, the fog pressing closer, heavier now, as if the walls themselves are breathing, slow, careful, holding something in. You step closer, boots soft on the damp boards. The doll in your arms is warm, her head tilting slightly toward the other, her weight pressing into your chest as though she's urging you forward. The larger doll on the floor sits still, hands folded neatly in her lap, the crack across her cheek catching the thin light like a scar. The lantern flickers, the flame leaning as if caught by a breeze you cannot feel. You crouch, the fog curling up around your boots, swirling into the folds of your coat. Your breath comes slow, careful, each inhale tasting of salt and old wood and something else, something sweet and faintly metallic. The knock does not return. The hum deepens, a slow, steady thrum that seems to wrap around your pulse, your breath, the rhythm of your own heart. You reach toward the larger doll. Her porcelain skin is cold beneath your fingertips, the edges smooth, too smooth, as though polished by years of waiting. The crack is rough, the edges jagged beneath the gloss. The doll in your arms shifts. Her eyes glint faintly, her head tilting just a little more. And then, the larger doll's eyes blink. Slow. Deliberate. The lantern's flame flutters, nearly snuffed out. Your breath catches. A sound drifts into the room. Not the knock. Not the hum. A soft, faint whisper, like a lullaby sung too low to hear the words. The doll's lips part, just slightly. And you realize the hum isn't from the ship. It's from them. Both of them. The fog presses tighter, the walls leaning in, the boards creaking in slow, rhythmic groans. The ship breathes. The dolls hum. And you hold your breath, waiting for the next sound, the next shape, the next story the Mary Celeste will unfold. The lantern flares briefly, casting long, twisting shadows across the floor. And in that flicker of light, you see them. Shapes. Figures. Faint, blurred, flickering like a dream half remembered. Men in coats, faces lined with salt and time. Speak.
Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. A woman in a bonnet, her hand resting lightly on the shoulder of a child, small, dark curls, pale face, glassy eyes. The hum deepens. The fog curls. And the knock returns. Soft. steady. Waiting. The knock fades into the quiet, but the hum lingers, low, steady, a vibration that settles deep in your chest, beneath your ribs, beneath the beat of your heart. The fog presses closer, wrapping around the figures in the flickering light, softening their edges, blurring the line between real and remembered. The doll in your arms shifts, her head tilting slightly, her glass eyes catching the dim glow, reflecting it back like two faint stars in a sea of gray. The larger doll on the floor sits motionless, but the air around her feels charged. The hum is louder now, weaving through the ship's groans, slipping between the ropes and the boards, filling the hold with a quiet that feels anything but empty. You glance at the shapes in the fog, figures half seen, faces half formed, drifting just beyond the reach of the lantern's glow. A man at the helm, his hands gripping the wheel. A woman standing near the rail, her hair caught in an unseen breeze. A child sitting cross-legged on the deck, humming softly, her eyes closed, her head tilted slightly as if listening to something only she can hear. And then, as quickly as they appeared, the figures fade. The fog swallows them whole, leaving only the creak of the ship, the pulse of the hum, and the faint, steady knock. You kneel before the larger doll, the lantern's flame flickering between you. Her hands are folded neatly in her lap, her face serene, the crack on her cheek dark against the pale porcelain. The hum seems to rise from her chest, a low, resonant sound that feels almost like a breath. The doll in your arms mirrors her exactly, same hands, same tilt of the head, same faint hum that you can now feel through the fabric, seeping into your skin. You whisper into the fog, voice soft, uncertain, "What are you waiting for?" The hum deepens. The fog curls tighter. And the knock returns, once, twice, three times, soft, deliberate, steady. A name drifts through the air, barely audible, a breath caught in the folds of the fog, Sophia. The doll in your arms hums louder now, her weight pressing into your chest, her breath, or is it your breath, mingling with the salt-thick air. You turn your gaze to the ceiling, the fog swirling above, the ropes swaying faintly in a rhythm that feels too measured to be chance. The knock repeats, once, twice, three times, and the sound settles into the boards, into the ship's frame, into the very breath of the place. And you realize, the ship isn't empty. It never was. The ship is listening. And so are you. The knock fades, but the air around you pulses with its memory, soft, steady, a rhythm that hums just beneath the quiet, as if the ship itself is keeping time. /prosody. /speak.
The fog thickens, wrapping around the lantern's flicker, softening the edges of the dolls, of the ship, of the world itself, until everything feels like it's drifting on the cusp of a dream. You stand slowly, the doll in your arms pressing into your chest, her weight warm and insistent. Her glass eyes glint faintly in the dim light, reflecting a shape you almost think you see, a flicker of a figure just behind you, gone the moment you turn. The larger doll remains in her place on the floor, still and silent, but the air around her feels heavier, charged, as if the fog itself has gathered there, holding its breath. The hum is everywhere now, low, steady, a vibration that curls into your bones, seeping through the deck beneath your boots. It's not loud, not forceful, but it fills the space completely, as if the ship's very breath has woven itself into the sound. You glance down at the locket in your pocket. It feels warmer now, pulsing faintly in your palm like a heartbeat. You open it. The portrait inside seems clearer, the child's face sharper, her eyes wider, glass eyes. You realize, just like the dolls, the name beneath it, Sophia, glows faintly, the ink shimmering in the lantern's weak light. The doll in your arms hums louder. The ship groans beneath you, the sound stretching long and low, as if the Mary Celeste herself is stirring from a long, deep sleep. And then, from somewhere deep within the fog, a voice, soft, faint, calling your name. You freeze, the fog curling tighter, the hum rising in pitch, a vibration that seems to press against your ribs, your throat, the inside of your skull. The doll's head tilts, her eyes fixed on something just beyond your vision. You turn slowly, the fog parting just enough to reveal footsteps, faint, bare, leading away from the lantern, deeper into the hold. Small footprints, dust played, damp marks left on the boards. The knock returns. Once, twice, three times. Soft, steady, waiting. You follow, breath slow, heart a steady drum in your chest. The doll's hum vibrates against your chest, and the locket feels almost hot in your palm. The fog thickens, but the footprints guide you, each step deliberate, as if they know where you need to go. They lead you to a door. Old. Heavy. A hatch you hadn't noticed before. The knock echoes once more, softer now, almost gentle. The doll in your arms hums louder, her head tilting toward the door. And you know, without knowing how, that you must open it. The key hums in your pocket, warm, waiting. The ship groans, the fog curls, and the knock waits. The knock holds steady in the quiet, soft, patient, waiting for you to move. The fog presses in close, dense and damp, curling around your boots, slipping into the edges of your breath. The key in your pocket hums softly, warm against your fingertips, as if it knows it's time. You stand before the door, the wood dark and weathered, the latch rusted but intact. The doll in your arms is heavier now, her weight a solid, quiet presence, the hum vibrating faintly from her into you, as if you're connected by more than just touch. The ship groans beneath your feet, a long, low sound that feels like it's coming from somewhere deep. Beneath the boards, beneath the ocean, beneath the very breath of the world. You reach for the latch. The fog curls tighter, almost hesitant, as though the ship itself is watching, waiting to see if you'll open what should remain closed. The knock fades. The hum slows, a long, low note that seems to stretch into the silence, a breath drawn out and held. You slide the key into the lock. It fits. It always did. You turn it slowly, the metal clicking softly, the sound swallowed quickly by the fog. The latch shifts beneath your hand, the door creaking open, the scent of salt and old wood spilling out, mixed with something sharper, iron, lavender, the faint, sweet scent of decay. You step through. The space beyond is small, cramped, filled with shadows that feel too thick, too heavy, as though they've been waiting for centuries to breathe again. A table sits in the center, and on it, a single object. A music box. Small. Delicate. The wood dark with age, the metal catch glinting faintly in the low, shifting light. The doll in your arms hums louder, her head tilting toward the box, her eyes reflecting a faint, flickering gleam. You step closer, boots silent on the damp boards, the fog curling around your ankles like a question you can't quite answer. The music box is warm beneath your fingers. You lift it. The hum deepens, a low vibration that seems to pulse in time with your heartbeat. You open the lid. The melody begins, soft, slow, delicate. A lullaby, simple and haunting, notes that drift into the fog like a breath caught and released. The doll's eyes glint, her head tilting further, her hum aligning perfectly with the tune, as though she's always known the song. And then, the knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. The melody continues, a steady, patient sound that winds through the ship, curling around the ropes, the beams, the fog itself. The ship sighs, the fog thickens, and the hum wraps around you, sinking into your skin, your breath, your very pulse. The Mary Celeste waits. And you are part of it now. The music box plays on, the notes curling into the fog like tendrils of smoke, soft and haunting. Each note lingers in the air longer than it should, stretching out as though the ship itself is holding on to the sound, unwilling to let it fade. The doll in your arms hums along, the vibration low and steady, matching the music perfectly. The weight of her settles into you, no longer just a presence, but a pulse, a quiet, breathing thread that ties you to the ship, to the fog, to the story unfolding around you. You stand in the small room, the music box cradled in your hands, its melody wrapping around you like a soft, thin blanket in a storm. Speak.
Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. The fog presses in, thicker now, almost tangible. It brushes against your skin, your face, your breath, curling into the edges of your thoughts like a whisper you can almost hear. The knock returns. Once. twice. 3 times. Soft. Steady. Insistent. The melody continues. You turn slowly, the fog parting just enough to reveal the faint outline of a figure at the edge of the room. Small. Delicate. Standing still, head tilted, watching. Her hair is dark, curled softly, her dress pale and simple. Her hands hang at her sides, fingers slightly curled, as though she is waiting for something. Her eyes, glass. Just like the doll. Just like the figure in the chair. Just like the face in the locket. The music box's tune slows, each note stretching out, the melody fading into the hum that fills the space. The figure steps forward. Soft, slow steps, her bare feet making no sound on the damp boards. She pauses in front of you, tilting her head, her glass eyes catching the faint glow of the lantern behind you. Her lips part. A whisper, barely audible, threads through the fog. "Do you see me now?" The doll in your arms shifts. Her head tilts. Her hum deepens. And the ship sighs, a long, slow groan that stretches through the beams, the boards, the very breath of the air around you. The knock fades. The music box winds down. The melody slows, the notes becoming fainter, softer, until they blend into the hum, into the ship, into the very air itself. The fog curls tighter, pressing into your skin, your breath, your pulse. And in the quiet, you hear it, a breath. Not yours. Not the ship's. Something else. Soft. Low. Waiting. The doll's eyes glint in the dim light. The music box stills. And the ship breathes. The music box sits silent now, its melody faded into the fog, but the echo of it lingers, soft, stretched thin, threading itself into the very breath of the ship. The doll in your arms is still, but the hum inside her lingers, a faint pulse that beats in time with the throne beneath your feet. The figure before you tilts her head, glass eyes gleaming faintly, a glint that seems to move even when the light does not. Her lips part slightly, as though she might speak, but no sound comes, only the fog, curling in slow spirals around the two of you, wrapping the space in a soft, damp hush. You glance down at the locket in your pocket. It feels warmer now, almost pulsing in your hand. The name inside, Sophia, seems etched brighter, clearer, as though the ink has been refreshed. The face in the portrait feels sharper too, the child's eyes wide, glassy, watching. The knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. Soft. Steady. Deliberate. The figure steps forward. A small hand reaches out, pale, delicate, barely touching the air between you. The doll in your arms hums louder, her eyes fixed on the figure, her head tilting just slightly as if in recognition. /prosody. /speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. The fog curls around the edges of your boots, damp and cold, pressing into your breath, the scent of salt sharp and sweet on your tongue. The ship groans beneath you, the sound long and low, as if it is settling deeper into the water, into the fog, into the story it has carried all these years. The figure's hand pauses, hovering in the space between you, her fingers small, fine, carved from the same pale light as the doll. Your breath catches. The hum rises. The knock echoes. And then, a whisper, soft as breath, curls into the air. You're part of it now. The figure's hand brushes yours, barely a touch, just the faintest shift in the air, but you feel it like a ripple down your spine, a chill that settles deep in your chest. The fog pulses, once, twice, as if in time with the knock. And the doll in your arms breathes, soft, shallow, the faintest rise and fall. The figure fades. Not gone. Just stepped back into the fog. The ship breathes. The knock continues. And the Mary Celeste waits. The fog presses in closer, cold and damp, the scent of salt sharp in the back of your throat. The knock hums faintly in the floorboards, a pulse you can feel more than hear, steady, waiting, patient as the sea itself. The doll in your arms is heavy, her weight no longer just a thing you carry, but a quiet force you can't put down. Her breath is slow now, shallow, as if she's resting, or perhaps listening. Her glass eyes glint in the dim light, watching the fog as it curls into the dark spaces of the ship. You step forward, boots soft on the boards. The locket in your pocket pulses faintly, warm against your palm, the name etched inside, Sophia, burning behind your eyes. The knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. Soft. Measured. Waiting. The fog parts just enough for you to see the figure again, small, pale, standing at the far end of the hold. Her hair is dark, her dress simple, her hands folded neatly in front of her. She tilts her head, watching you, glass eyes gleaming faintly in the dim light. The doll's hum deepens, the vibration sinking into your chest, wrapping around your breath like a second heartbeat. The figure raises her hand, palm outward, fingers spread just slightly, a gesture of invitation or warning, you can't tell. The knock stops. Silence folds in around you, thick and cold, wrapping the ship in a hush so complete it hums. The doll breathes once more. You close your eyes, just for a moment. And in that space, in the dark behind your eyelids, you see them. Faces. Dozens of them. Men, women, children. Their eyes wide, glassy, watching. Their lips parting in unspoken words. Their hands reaching, toward you, toward the doll, toward the fog that weaves between you all like a thread tying everything together. The ship creaks, the sound low and slow, a breath drawn from deep beneath the boards. The fog wraps tighter, curling around your arms, your legs, the doll in your grasp. /prosody. /speak.
And the hum deepens, the vibration settling into the ship's frame, into the marrow of your bones. The knock returns, once, twice, 3 times. And you realize, you are no longer a visitor here. You are part of the story now. The ship has claimed you. And the sea, as always, waits. The fog breathes in and out, a slow, measured rhythm that seeps into your lungs, heavy and damp. The knock fades again. But the hum lingers, coiling through the ship's bones, vibrating beneath your boots, settling into your pulse. The doll in your arms is warm, her breath shallow, soft as the fog curling around you. Her glass eyes shimmer faintly, watching the space beyond the glow of the lantern. The locket in your pocket pulses, the name inside, Sophia, etched into your mind, a quiet refrain you cannot shake. The figure stands in the distance, pale and still, her form a faint silhouette against the dim light. Her head tilts, and you feel the weight of her gaze settle on you, steady, unblinking, glassy. You take a step forward. The ship creaks, the sound long and low, like a breath drawn from deep within the timbers. The fog curls tighter, the scent of salt sharper now, tinged with the faintest hint of lavender, and something else, metallic, cold, familiar. The knock does not return, but the hum deepens, weaving itself into the air, the boards, the doll's breath against your chest. You pause. And the ship pauses with you. The figure's lips part. A faint whisper drifts through the fog, barely a breath, but you hear it. Do you understand now? The doll shifts in your arms. Her head tilts toward the figure, and the hum vibrates through her, through you, through the ship itself. You glance down at the locket. The ink inside glows faintly, the edges of the portrait shimmering as if alive. Sophia. The name hums in your chest, in the ship's frame, in the fog curling low around your boots. The figure steps forward, her bare feet leaving no trace on the boards. She raises her hand, points, not at you, but at the doll in your arms. The hum sharpens, a thin, piercing thread that wraps around your breath, tightens in your throat, presses against the inside of your ribs. The doll's glass eyes gleam. Her breath deepens. And you feel it, a slow, steady heartbeat beneath her porcelain skin. The figure in the fog smiles, the curve of her lips faint, knowing. The ship groans, the sound rising like a tide. The fog closes in, soft and damp. The knock returns. Once, twice, 3 times. Steady, soft, waiting. You are part of it now. The ship, the fog, the hum, the story. And the sea waits. The knock fades again, slipping into the hum that pulses beneath your feet, in the air, in your breath. The ship creaks, a long, slow sound that feels less like wood shifting and more like something deeper, a memory stirring, a name whispered too softly to catch. The fog is thicker now, wrapping around your boots, your hands, the doll in your arms. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. The scent of salt and lavender fills your lungs, sweet and sharp, and underneath it all is that faint, metallic tang, old iron, rust, and the quiet take of time. The figure is gone. Or perhaps she was never truly there, just a shape carved from fog and memory,
from the hum of the ship and the whisper of the sea. You hold the doll tighter. Her breath is steady now, shallow and soft, rising and falling against your chest. The hum vibrates through her, into you, into the ship, into the fog. The locket in your pocket warms, the name inside, Sophia, etched into your skin. Pulsing in time with the quiet, steady knock. You turn slowly, breath slow, careful, the fog parting just enough to reveal the faint outline of the wheel. The helm. Still. Waiting. The ropes sway gently above, a slow, rhythmic dance. The bell does not ring, but you feel its weight in the air, a quiet presence just beyond the reach of sound. The knock returns, soft, steady, patient. And you realize, it's not just the ship. It's the story. The hum, the knock, the fog, they are all pieces of the same thing, woven together by time, by the sea, by the quiet, steady breath of something that was never meant to be fully known. The ship waits. The fog curls tighter. And the doll in your arms hums softly, her breath warm against your skin. You are part of it now. A thread in the fabric of the story. And the sea is listening. The hum deepens, low and slow, curling into the boards, into the fog, into your breath. It's not a song. Not really. It's a sound older than memory, woven from salt and wood, from breath held too long, from the quiet that stretches between moments. The doll is still in your arms, her weight warm, steady, the soft rise and fall of her breath a quiet pulse that matches the knock, the hum, the sigh of the ship. Her glass eyes gleam faintly, catching the dim, flickering light, reflecting shapes you're not sure you see. You stand at the helm, the wheel slick beneath your fingers. The fog curls in tighter, a damp shroud that blurs the edges of the world. The locket pulses in your pocket, the name inside, Sophia, etched into your chest, into your breath. The knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. Soft. Deliberate. Waiting. The fog shifts, parting just enough for you to see the faint outline of figures on the deck, men in coats, women in bonnets, children in simple dresses. They stand still, their faces blurred by mist, their hands folded, their eyes wide and glassy. The doll's hum deepens, matching the ship's slow, steady groan. You feel it now, beneath your feet, beneath your breath, beneath the fog. The ship isn't just a vessel. It's a memory. A story. A quiet, waiting thing that holds everything it touches. The figures fade, the fog swallowing them whole, but the knock remains. Soft. Steady. The doll shifts, her head tilting, her hum vibrating through your chest. /prosody. /speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. The wheel creaks beneath your hands, turning slowly, a quiet, patient motion that feels like a breath drawn in and held. The fog closes in. The hum wraps tighter. And the ship waits. For you. For the sea. For the story to continue. The fog thickens, soft and slow, a damp, heavy breath that seeps into your skin, curling around your ribs, wrapping around your pulse. The knock fades again. But the hum lingers, deeper now, low as the ocean floor, as steady as the tide. The doll is warm in your arms, her breath a soft, quiet thing, her glass eyes dimming slightly as if she, too, is listening. The weight of her settles into you, as though she's been waiting for you to carry her all along. The wheel groans beneath your hand, a slow, tired sound, like a memory surfacing after too long submerged. The ship creaks, the fog curls, and the air feels thicker now, as if it's folding in on itself, tucking you into its story. You glance down at the locket. It pulses in your palm, faint, warm, a heartbeat not your own. The name inside, Sophia, glows softly, the ink shimmering faintly in the fog-muted light. The knock returns, once, twice, 3 times. Soft. Steady. Patient. The hum rises, a quiet vibration that threads through the deck, the air, the breath you hold too tight in your throat. You whisper into the fog, your voice barely a sound, I see you. The ship sighs, a long, low groan that seems to stretch into the horizon. The fog shifts, parting just enough to reveal a figure. Small. Pale. Standing near the bow, her dress thin and damp, her hair dark and curling, her head tilted just slightly as though she's waiting. Her eyes, glass, gleaming faintly. The doll's hum matches hers perfectly now, a slow, patient vibration that seeps into the boards, into the fog, into the ship's very breath. You take a step forward. The fog parts just enough to let you pass, the ship groaning softly beneath your boots. The knock fades. The hum deepens. And the figure speaks, Her voice a whisper carried on the fog, soft as the breath of the sea. The ship holds what it takes. The doll's head tilts, her breath deepens, and the hum wraps around you, folding you into the quiet. The fog closes in. The ship sighs. And the sea waits. The fog breathes in time with the hum now, a slow, rhythmic pulse that matches the steady knock beneath your boots. The ship is no longer just boards and rope and sail. It feels like a living thing, sighing in the quiet, its breath curling into the fog, folding into your skin, whispering into your bones. The doll in your arms is still, her glass eyes half-lidded, the faintest glint of light catching the edges of her gaze. Her hum settles into you, a soft, persistent vibration that seems to seep into your chest, into the very air you breathe. The figure near the bow remains, pale and small, her head tilted just enough to suggest she is watching. Prosody. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. Her dress sways gently in a breeze that does not exist, her bare feet leaving no trace on the damp boards. The knock returns. Once. Twice. 3 times. Soft. Steady. The locket pulses in your pocket, warm against your palm, the name Sophia shimmering faintly, the ink seeming to shift with the fog's slow curls. You take a step forward. The fog parts just enough to let you through, the ship creaking softly beneath you. The lantern's glow dims, the light bending as if swallowed by the air itself. The hum rises. The knock fades. And the figure whispers, her voice low, a thread of sound barely louder than the fog itself. You cannot leave. The doll's head tilts toward her, a subtle, deliberate shift. Her hum deepens, vibrating through your arms, your chest, your breath. The ship sighs, a long, low groan that feels like a wave breaking somewhere far below. You pause, breath slow, careful. The figure steps closer. Her eyes are wide, glassy, the faintest shimmer of light dancing across their surface. She raises her hand, palm out, fingers barely spread. The fog wraps tighter, the air colder now, sharper, filled with the scent of salt and lavender and the faintest hint of something else, old iron, dark wood, the weight of years. The doll hums louder, a low, steady tone that fills the hold, the air, the space inside your chest. The knock does not return. The hum holds. And the ship waits. The fog folds in. The figure fades. The doll's eyes close, slow, deliberate, her breath soft against your skin. And in the quiet, you hear it, a single word, spoken so softly it might be your own thought: stay. The ship creaks. The fog curls. And the sea waits. The fog thickens, closing in soft and slow, wrapping around your breath, pressing into the hollow spaces between each heartbeat. The hum deepens, steady as a pulse, folding into the creaks and groans of the ship. It's in the boards beneath your boots, in the lantern's dim glow, in the soft, steady rise and fall of the doll's breath against your chest. You stand still, the ship's hush folding around you like a blanket woven from salt, wood, and time. The locket in your pocket pulses faintly, the name inside, Sophia, glowing in the dark, the ink shimmering as if the ship's own heartbeat has soaked into the paper. The knock is gone. But the echo of it lingers, a phantom rhythm that thrums in your bones. The figure has faded, but her shape remains in the fog, an outline just visible, just enough to let you know she is there, watching, waiting, part of the story that holds you now. The doll in your arms is still. Her eyes are closed, her breath slow and measured, her weight no longer a burden but a presence, anchoring you to the deck. The ship breathes. And you realize, this is not just a ship. Not just a story. It is a place caught between breaths, between moments, between the waves. Prosody. Speak.
The fog curls tighter, brushing your skin like fingertips barely there, pressing into the locket, into the doll, into the space between your ribs. A faint whisper drifts through the quiet, soft as a sigh. We are all part of it now. The ship groans, a sound low and steady, as if it has accepted something, or perhaps remembered it. The doll's hum fades into a soft, quiet vibration that hums through the deck, the fog, the very air. The lantern flickers once, and the fog folds in, curling tighter, pressing closer. You breathe in. Salt. Lavender. A faint, metallic taste. And the sea waits. The story waits. You wait. Together. In the quiet. In the fog. On the Mary Celeste. The fog swallows you whole now, thick and slow, pressing into your breath, curling into your skin. The hum fades, but its echo lingers, a low vibration that weaves itself into the boards. The lanterns glow, the slow, patient creak of the ship beneath your feet. The doll's breath is faint, soft against your chest, her weight warm, familiar, as if she's always been there. Her glass eyes are closed, but you feel them watching, feel the story they hold folding around you like the fog. You step back toward the helm, the wheel waiting, still and slick beneath your fingers. The locket in your pocket pulses once, a final, quiet beat, before it settles into silence. The ship sighs, long and slow, the sound slipping into the fog, into the quiet, into the slow breath of the sea. The knock does not return. The hum is gone. And the fog is all there is now. You stand at the wheel, the doll in your arms, the ship breathing beneath you, and you know. You are not just a visitor here. You are part of it now. The Mary Celeste. The story. The fog. The sea. All of it. Together. Bound by salt and wood and time. You close your eyes. The fog curls tighter. The ship sighs. And in the quiet, just before the fog swallows everything whole, a single, soft whisper drifts through the dark, "Stay." The sea waits. The fog waits. The ship waits. And you breathe. Soft. Steady. Forever. Word count, 2,300, wind down. 300 words. Let's slow everything down now, shall we? Breathe in. Slow and steady. Let the fog slip past your skin, settle into the quiet spaces of your breath. The Mary Celeste is quiet now, just a shape in the mist, a memory on the sea. The hum has faded, the knock is still, the story has been told. Your pulse slows, matching the soft sway of the ship, the gentle rise and fall of waves you cannot see. The doll's weight is gone now, the locket a memory against your palm. The fog curls soft and light, brushing against your skin like a fading dream, like a whisper you almost remember. Let the breath slip out slowly. Let your muscles ease, your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench. The sea waits, but not for you tonight. The story has closed, the fog has folded in. The ship sighs, and you are free to rest. Let the quiet hold you.
Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. Let the salt settle in your lungs, a soft reminder that this was only a story, just a story. And as the last threads of the tale drift away, let yourself drift too. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let the sea take it. Let the fog carry it. Let the story stay. And you drift. Safe. Soft. Steady. Good night. Sweet dreams. /prosody. /speak